Sorry for the delay, kids. Welcome, welcome, one and all, to the Spider Man Homecoming Roundtable. Probably one of many, but at least the first. We have a few guests with us right away. We got a few more coming in, most likely, but just want to say hello. I'm Tom Connors. With me is Jesse Miller of Jesse Miller's Over the Crow's Nest. How you doing? He's muted. Doctor, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Oh, he's away from his computer, evidently.
Oh, that was a door slamming. Yeah.
And then we also have with us Chef Nation. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm super excited.
Glad to have you here. So yeah, we all saw Spider-Man. Like I said, I'm sure we'll have some more people coming in. Hello, Jesse. You were away from your computer there a second ago.
Yes, I drank an entire giant cocoa waiting, so I had to get a soda.
Cheers, buddy.
Speaking of others joining us, we have with us the one, the only George Molo, the Giant Slayer. How are you
Hi,
doing?
George.
How you doing, everyone?
George.
Welcome,
everyone
welcome.
going? Thank
We
you,
just
thank
got
you.
started. Actually, your timing was impeccable.
Thank
How
you.
you been?
Great. Just got out of the theater.
Awesome. Yeah, I had a long ride home, but yeah, that took me a little longer than I had anticipated. So that's why we're getting a little bit later start than we had anticipated. So I apologize for that. But
I was starting to get
welcome, one
worried
and all.
about you.
Yeah, I know. It was like traffic was a bitch, and they had like 40 minutes of fucking previews and shit. It's just like, seriously.
Yeah, who are
Yeah.
you kidding, man? The previews, Jesus Christ. That's the one. That's my one.
Whoever
Bitch
made
about
that
going to the
joke
movies.
first
It's
about
like,
let's go sit
man.
through all these previews we already saw 3 months ago on YouTube was right.
For real.
I remember when previews used to be exciting because you had no idea what was going to happen before.
I was actually thinking, should there be theater exclusive previews? Or...
Yes.
I did
100%,
enjoy the
please.
Sonic trailer. I did see the Sonic trailer.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
I did enjoy. I'm looking forward to the sequel.
Oh, cool. Did it look good? I did. I got in about right as they finished.
It did. It looked good. It looked really good to me. I enjoyed the first one, so the second one looks better because I like the fact that they have Knuckles, and
Oh,
you get to see Knuckles in the trailer at the very end. And
Well,
Jim
that's
Carrey,
great.
of course, is Jim Carrey.
This is the second sequel he's ever done, right? I think.
I
Is
think
it?
so. Beside what he did, Dumb and
Ace
Dumber,
Ventura.
No, sorry, the
Ace
third.
Ventura
Third.
2. Yeah, Ace Ventura 2.
And
Dumb
then
and
Dumb and
Unless you
Dumber.
count
so-
Kick-Ass.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He was in,
Even though
he
he wasn't
wasn't
in
in
the
two
first one.
Kick-Ass films, was he?
No, but he was in the second
He
one.
was in
so-
That
the
doesn't count.
Kick-Ass
It's
2.
him repeating a role.
Yeah.
I know.
That'd be a third
he's
time.
not. He can't repeat that role. Not after Mother
He
Russia.
had that. Yeah, he had that stipulation after When Nature Calls. He's like, I don't ever want to repeat another role again.
Till
Well,
Dumb
she took a
Dumber.
bolo knife to his. Well, she gave him a shave. Let's say it that way.
Wow.
But anyhow, yes. So we all got to
Wow.
watch Spider-Man. We're gonna start off without spoilers.
Oh,
Shit, I almost said something.
All right. I'll
Yeah,
write back in a
just
second.
for like the first 15 20 minutes or so till we get everybody's kind of first impressions. So in case anybody in the chat is trying to avoid spoilers, we'll do that right off the bat. But then we're gonna get heavy into spoilers, kids. So
Otherwise, there will be
forewarned.
nothing to talk about.
We're
Yeah,
gonna get
exactly.
web deep into
Web deep.
spoilers. There you go,
Web
web
deep.
deep.
Yes, quite a few surprises. Some not so much for myself, but we'll get into all that. First of all, let's start off with basically how we felt about the first two Spider-Man films and all the Spider-Man appearances to this point, and then how your initial kind of like reaction to this film. Let's start with you, Chef Nation, since I believe this is your first time on the main channel.
I think shoot, it is. Okay, so
Yay!
we'll start like how Julie Andrews did in The Sound of Music. We'll start at the very beginning. So my first Spider-Man obviously was the animated one that they had for
Well, I
Disney.
meant
And
more
then
so like Homecoming and Far From Home, but yeah.
Homecoming. Okay, so Homecoming was okay for me. I did like Tom Holland's little twist on it, because he's a teenage Spider-Man. Far From Home, didn't enjoy it at all. Did not enjoy it. Jake Gyllenhaal, he kept it in it for me, but I did not enjoy anything. This one, though, I went in this one with very, very, very low expectations just because of what Marvel's been showing us for the past film, like the Eternals and shit. So I was like, okay, so I have to lower my expectations. I'm actually grateful I did because for me, it knocked it out of the park for me. I don't have a 10 in 2021 for films, and this year so far, this movie was a 10 for me.
All right. Well, that's a quick, easy review of the overall series. George, how have you felt about Homecoming and
No Way Home, man.
No Way
No Way
Home, and
Home.
now this one and Far From Home and all
You
that
know, my favorite Holland Spider-Man, actually, before this film today, it was his appearance in Civil War. That was my favorite. Then I would say Homecoming for me. I didn't like Far From Home. It just,
Oh yeah, that's right. He was a Civil War.
I don't know. It just couldn't hold me. Like I forced myself to go through it. I liked a few scenes here and there. It's just, it didn't do it for me. But this one, after the first 15 minutes of what I consider to be like rom-com, and once it settled into the film, I loved it. I think I only had 2 issues with it, which are just my quibbles. Nothing, just, everyone has
Right.
personal taste, but
Yeah.
it blew my socks off. I was surprised. I'm like, is this Marvel going back to like their phase 1 and phase 2 style? I was shocked, especially after the root canal that was Eternals.
For real.
I mean, Eternals just, shit the bed everywhere.
I
And
didn't
then,
even
yeah.
watch Eternals or Shang-Chi. Was there anything in those movies that led up to this, or I should have?
Nope.
Well, you had a cameo from Wong and Shang-Chi, which was like really
Okay,
quick.
that's what I thought. Yeah.
And then in the Eternals, it was just me and my dad laughing our asses off
Okay, so I'm
throughout
not
the
only
whole
one.
fucking movie, going, "This is the best father-daughter movie we've ever
AKA,
seen."
there wasn't nothing in it worth.
No, it was.
I
like-
mean, It was just, oh wow, look, there's Salma Hayek. Oh, there she is. Bye. Oh
uh,
look, it's Game of
I
Thrones
guess I
on
couldn't
crack.
afford to get her in this one.
it would have
So-
made it more if they'd have showed a little boob from her.
Right? Make it worth
a little.
it.
She's
man.
got a
You
lot.
I know.
I mean,
you
they
got
could've just
Salma
given a
Hayek.
flash,
Now
and
she got back problems.
Like she could have had like a malfunction as she's
Right.
doing
There
something.
you
Like
go.
oops, and it's like, oh my god.
a
It's
Selma
Marvel.
Hayek in a,
A wardrobe
Spider-Man
malfunction?
costume is kind of hot, yeah.
Yeah. I was blown away. They did one thing that I'll say that I was surprised because I kept saying, you remember Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Yep.
Of course.
The way they had Rhino and everybody thrown in there. I was like, if they do this again, when you see the trailers, I was like, how are they going to balance? I think script, we talked about that just a little bit last week. I was like, how are they going to pull it off and balance it? And the way they did it surprised the hell out of me. It was, yes, smart, very clever, very, very, and I have to give him kudos,
Yeah,
Very difficult to balance that many characters.
Yeah.
and I do like how they balanced them all out. They didn't clump them. They
And
weren't.
Yeah, it wasn't
they
like
weren't
tag team like Spider-Man 3.
Oh,
Right.
God, yeah, it was.
Where it's kind of like, hey, tag, you're it. All right, it's your turn. All right.
Right.
It was, yeah.
And the nostalgia, it's like I had written Tom earlier, and I was like, it's almost like they went to Jason Reitman and asked, how do we do nostalgia properly? Because they did it to me properly. Like it was.
Yeah, nothing was
inside the
overdone.
film. No, it was,
Yeah.
but it was also inside the film. It wasn't like, hey, here's nostalgia for you. No, it made sense. It was well received. I mean, the audience, it was packed, and everybody
was your
clapped.
theater sold out?
Maybe I would say sold out. Except for a couple of seats, it was sold out. I went to see it in the IMAX, and it was just loaded.
I went and saw it in IMAX 3D, and mine was sold out.
Oh, I didn't see it in the 3D. I saw the 2D. The 3D always messes with my eyes. I saw.
Oh my god, the
IMAX.
3D was amazing.
Was
Highly
it?
recommended.
Okay.
Highly
I was
Mine, the,
surprised how full the 3D was. Yeah.
The AMCs were pretty much full, so we went to the one that's a smaller theater over here in Torrington, and that was full up until the front 2 rows were empty.
And they're going to
But
take
almost but keep in mind, there was, of all the theaters in there, the only theater in there that wasn't playing Spider-Man was still playing Ghostbusters.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they had it on like all screens. It was like all hands on deck.
I think if I remember, the first 3 shows for IMAX 3D were all sold out.
Oh good.
And then the next 2 IMAXs after my showing were sold out. And then there were like another 4 showings right after that were sold out. So
I went to buy tickets at the AMC app, and I picked out a time, and then it gave me tickets for New York.
are
No,
you
it's like
are you a
that's
Stubs
not
member?
that's not okay. I
Yeah.
I don't know. I deleted the app after that one.
No.
Bro, because
Then-
I was gonna say, if you're a
That went
Stubs
down the
member,
road.
if you go for matinee, they give you like 25% off on your tickets.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna make any time for that though.
Yeah, just a heads up, if anybody's a Stubbs member for AMC, if you go anytime before 4 o'clock for a matinee, your tickets are like ridiculously cheap.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have it for like 30%, maybe up to 35% off before for a matinee.
Yeah, that's not bad. I
You
wish they
want
would do
asses
that
in the
with. I wish
seats?
they would do that with popcorn.
Yeah, I know. That
Well,
costs-
Well, if you're a Stubbs member,
Like
they do have it where
$65,
you
sir.
can get
What
your
the
ticket
fuck?
and you can also get your popcorn and your drink for like $10 or some shit.
Yeah.
Only
Wow,
for
that's
your
like 2010 prices.
Yeah, they are. It's like
Yeah.
we only want your one hand, not both. Hey.
Yeah, I mean they're trying. They're trying. AMC's trying.
Well, and I think part of it's is they're not paying out as much in rental fees either. But Script Doctor, so your initial reaction plus what you felt about the first two films and Spider-Man's appearances to this point or whatever.
I thought this was on par with the other two films. It's a good watch. Has some nice things that nice nods to the other Spider-Man franchises. I do have a couple of questionable questions about the ending part. Not so much with like the actual plot, just like how the actual like literally the last like 90 seconds.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean my favorite is basically Homecoming, and then of course the Civil War one on par with each other for introductions of Spider-Man. Really, really good.
Yeah.
Far From Home, great idea. I just think they kind of muddled things up a bit with that. But yeah, overall, I thought this was a really well-paced film, well balanced. Did not feel like 2 hours and 10 minutes at all. Felt way quicker, which was good.
No, it didn't. I actually wanted more.
Yeah, and the
Yeah, it
performances
did not seem that long at all.
the performances were way better than in the previous.
Oh yeah. It's like they took classes.
Yeah.
Can
Tom
I
Holland
just
also looked a little bit more closer to his actual age in this movie than the previous two.
like
Right.
can I
Like, he was
can I
more like
just add
college
like
guy.
Tom Holland for me? I'm not a big Tom Holland fan.
Neither am I.
I'm
But
not either.
for
I thought
this-
that Toby was the best.
But
Oh,
in
yeah.
this particular film, I felt just with the heavy hitters that were in this film, it forced him to act.
Mm.
Because
Oh,
you
yeah,
could,
he held
because
his
you
own.
could tell if he sucked, you could tell he was gonna suck in front of William Dafoe. Like he was gonna suck in front of some big fucking names.
Alfred
You know-
Molina.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
And it was like it was forced for him to
Careful
kinda
with the
come out of-
spoilers, guys.
I know. I'm so sorry.
You
I'm
mean
so
the one that's
sorry.
in the poster of the movie?
Right.
You know, the one in the
Okay,
thing.
but
You know the one
I'm
in
just
the
trying to
thing
stop anybody before we get too far.
with the thing and the thing, and then the other thing, and the other,
The other thing,
and the thing on the thing.
can we mention what people know? Like the
There was
Well, we're gonna
webbing.
get into spoilers in like less
Only-
than 2 minutes here. I just want to get everybody's initial reaction. So
But
if
I
anybody
did
wants
see
to
more
check
of the
out,
Unch-
yeah.
I did see more of the Uncharted trailer, and that looks like shit.
Did it? It looked bad, huh?
I'm sorry. For an Uncharted video gamer who's played all of them. They literally took the last one and they just sprinkled a little bit of the first and the second one in it.
What did
I'm-
y'all think of the credits?
Loved it.
The end credits. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into that for sure. But yeah. So anyway, anything else to add, Script?
Nope, that's pretty much it.
All right, Jesse, my man. What'd you think of
Well,
the first two?
mine
and
is
this one?
pretty quick. I'm on board with George in saying the most Spider-Man-y shit he did was in Civil War.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was just a little smart ass, and I enjoyed him. And I don't know, the first one with him was okay. The second one sucked. I didn't like it. It felt like
Hey.
3 movies glued together. So this one, I wasn't expecting anything big, and I was expecting them to end or begin or end with a paradox. And I will say that just like this little intro is spoiler free, this movie was paradox free. So far, I'm watching you. I'm watching you. But yeah, like the cast is great, obviously. You get a lot of these big names. You get some people that you're like, oh, you're really in this shit. And then it's like the foe. But the one thing that I don't know if this is spoilery or not, but there were no cameos in this movie. Everyone was given
What?
weight.
What?
Oh, yeah, there were cameos. What do you mean?
There
they've
were.
already- They were. What are you talking about? You mean they've
There
all
was,
people
like-
already
Well,
knew?
There
there's
was, like-
little tosses, but the people who are your characters, they all have their equal weight.
But there was one
all their
particular
screen
one
time.
that
Where
just
never
brought
had
in
a
like,
movie.
hey, here's
but he was
Tobey
on-
Maguire.
No, I mean that they had one key
Right in the
guy that
beginning.
was on Netflix that never had a movie.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
he
that's
did,
the
but it
only
was.
one I will
We
say
don't,
that.
we don't
Yeah,
count that one. We don't fucking count that.
we'll
movie.
get into that. We also have Steven, aka Deleted Scenes, joining us. How you doing, Steven?
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Good evening. Good
Glad
evening.
to have you here. We were just asking everybody what this is spoiler free so far, but then we're going to get into spoilers in just a moment. Your initial reaction, without any spoilers, plus what you thought to the first two movies up to this point.
Okay, what I thought of the first two movies, I thought Homecoming was all right. Michael Keaton was a great villain. I thought he really helped to make that movie what it was. I saw the second movie, Far From Home, for the first time earlier this afternoon.
Oh.
I thought it was a rental.
agree.
Gyllenhaal is really good. I thought he made the movie. This
What do you
one,
think about him being fake at the end?
um,
Ruin the movie.
well,
for
I
me.
pretty much already had all of that spoiled for me. Maybe that was why I didn't enjoy it as much, because I was so late coming to it. But this movie is outstanding. I was really surprised. I was expecting a dumpster fire, and
Right.
I came away from it blown away. I think it's the best Marvel movie that I've personally seen since Winter Soldier.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I could see
Okay.
that. I could see
Okay.
it. I could see that.
All right. Well, I guess my initial reaction then. I loved Homecoming. I loved him in Civil War.
Oh yeah.
Was not as thrilled with the last one. I didn't hate it, but I was the opposite, Steven. I hated Gyllenhaal's performance. I thought he went to like the uber B movie extreme.
I
As
agree.
far
He
as
went
some
over
of
the
the scenes
top?
with the bad guy scenes, like he was just raging bad guy in certain scenes. It's just like, okay, he's going.
He was
over the
channeling
top.
his performance from Nightcrawler,
Yeah.
if I recall.
Well,
Well, he was a big faker. So
Yeah,
he
it was
had to
kind of
be
Nightcrawler.
dramatic.
Yeah.
I mean, I
reminded
get
me-
that, Jesse, but yeah, sorry.
He reminded me of Jeremy Irons' bad guys in that.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Just
Oh,
overly
God.
hammy.
Yeah,
Overly
there you go,
fucking
hammy. Great word, hammy.
And
Well, he's a hammy character to begin with, so
yes and no, but I mean, I loved how
he-
they made him look. That part was great, but my only other issue with the second one was the same problem most people had, and that was that Tony Stark loomed too heavily over that film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
actually
watching
missed him.
superhero movies and think that like X, Y, and Z superhero could have just solved this problem already.
You
And
have
this
that.
guy has his number and he's not calling him.
Well, that's the problem with having a multiverse, right? But this movie, gosh, I have to see it again before I really kind of finalize where I put it, but it's probably the best Spider-Man movie besides Spider-Man 2.
Oh, well.
Like, to me, it's right on par with the first Raimi Spider-Man.
Well, the first Raimi Spider-Man's better than Spider-Man 2.
See, I mean, here's my thing with that. It's like to me, Spider-Man 2 is the better film,
I like that one.
but Spider-Man 1 is an excellent.
Spider-Man is.
Well, Spider-Man 1's the better story. Spider-Man 2
Wow.
is far more better of a.
Like
of
he gets to be more.
Spider-Man.
Well, here's why I like Spider-Man 2. Amazing, not the amazing one, but the one with the Sam Raimi one, obviously.
Yeah.
Is because we actually get more time with Toby being able to be Spider-Man. Right?
Yes.
Like that first 10,
Yeah.
15 minutes is just pure Spider-Man. He just gets to be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then
he loses
Doc
it for
Ock's
half an
great.
hour in the
and-
movie.
See, and then Doc Ock's great and all that business, and I love all the character stuff. The third film went off the rails, but that first one is like, damn near as good as the second one in my opinion. But it's a great introduction movie. The only, first film I'd say that's probably better than that as far as introducing a character would be the original Superman. So, like to me, the first two Spider-Man films are really high up there. Just so
Yeah.
you guys know.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so for me, this one's like just tapping on the back door of that first Raimi Spider-Man movie.
Phrasing.
If I see it again, I might go up or down. I don't know, but we're gonna get into spoilers here now, kids. So right
Well,
after this super chat,
Where would you put then the Amazing Spider-Man films? Because actually, until tonight, I didn't realize how much that I liked the second Spider-Man after Toby.
I fucking hated them. I didn't
hated them at the
I didn't
time,
hate
but I liked
Amazing
them
as
in the
much,
movie.
but the second Amazing Spider-Man movie drove me fucking insane.
It did.
And we'll get into that in a moment because there's one character who carries over his character exactly as he is in that movie, and
It's
it
like,
drives
whatever
me
do you
fucking
mean,
nuts.
Tom?
Oh, I think you probably are agreeing with the same one. It's some of the
It's
some of the
the
dumbest
dumbest shit.
lines.
Dumbest shit.
Oh, you're talking about that one about there must be this type of Spider-Man in another universe?
Right. Yeah.
That's part of it.
Okay.
That
Oh,
character is involved with it. Yes.
Yeah.
We'll jump
Anyhow,
off that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, that character completely carries over every bad trait he had from the first movie, sans
Yeah.
the makeup.
He did.
Like he
yeah,
completely
minus-
like
They
that
gave
was
him
obviously a
a
character
better
choice for
look.
that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody else want to notice that he also twice the size he used to be?
Oh, yeah.
Let's just say.
Wait. Who are we
this
talking
actor-
about now?
Well,
are we
let's
talking
just
about
say
the
this
guy who
actor is a Oscar. Did he win the Oscar?
He
I
did
think
win
he
an
did.
Oscar.
He did
Oh,
win it
okay,
for
him. I know you're talking.
We're talking.
Yeah.
Django.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get right into it because we
I
got
mean,
Trenchman here who said, "I
yeah.
rode the
Oh.
Demonator, Spider-Man: No Way Home."
Oh.
Okay, of course, who I'm talking about. Spoilers, guys. The worst actor in this movie, hands down.
You should put up the thing.
Electro.
Yeah.
Electro, yeah. That's a horrible character. It
Jamie
works in the
Foxx.
comics, not in the.
What the fuck, dude?
Way to plug in Miles Morales, you dumb son of a
Not
bitch.
just that. He is complete. He had a second chance to make the character better.
Right.
I'm the shit. I'm the
He
shit.
was the most paper thin because you knew he was going.
Have
to
you ever
turn
seen,
immediately. You should
the
put up the
movie-
spoiler banner.
Have you ever seen the movie Dreamgirls that he's in? There's a
Yes.
scene where he's supposed to be singing, but he just mouths the words, and
He's
you can
lip
just tell
syncing
he's just
legit.
No, he's not even lip syncing. He's like doing like what Garth does in Wayne's World when he's doing the Bohemian Rhapsody. He's just like
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
that's actually in the movie Dreamgirls. Like that's the
Wow.
level of stuff that Jamie Foxx is unfortunately.
Wait, what scene is that? Because I've seen Dreamgirls.
That's it's
maybe I
when
really
they're on
wasn't paying
stage and they're
attention to
doing
him.
like it's when they're on stage and they're singing all together and they're doing like the camera spinning around all of them as they're singing. And you just look at his lips and he's like just moving them as if he's like saying, Purple Monkey Dishwasher or something.
Yeah, I really wasn't paying attention to him because I was just like Jennifer Hudson's voice is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Like,
But yeah,
Yeah. So that aside, because that was my biggest gripe with the movie, but I know a few
Oh,
of
I
you guys
had
had some other gripes
I
too.
have a big gripe. Yeah.
But
he
again,
thought Spider-Man was black, y'all.
and he was also I mean
You're always helping poor people and shit.
Yeah.
Fuck me
helping
for
poor-
thinking they helping poor people and shit. I thought he was black. Maybe in another universe we'll get a black Spider-Man. Fuck me. Come on.
Why don't you just pop a banner over his head, Miles Morales?
Well, yeah.
well,
let's
not just that.
You
For a
should
movie that
have
was
just been like, Black Lives Matter.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say, for a movie that managed to be completely unwoke.
Well, it had
Yeah.
two woke scenes.
Okay, well, we'll get to that other thing because I don't remember that. But for a movie
Well,
that
I
managed to
think-
be completely unwoke, that scene stuck out like a sore
It
fucking
did.
thumb.
I laughed my
Joining
ass
us
off
now
at that.
is one, the only Valiant Renegade. How you doing,
Sir,
sir?
Valiant.
I'm
Hey,
good.
Valiant.
What's up, my friends? How y'all doing?
Fresh from Spider-Man.
Fresh from Spider-Man, baby.
We
All
just
right.
broke into spoilers. Like, all you really missed is we all enjoyed it quite a bit. Some a
Mhm.
little bit more than others.
I was listening. Yeah.
Okay, so Jamie Foxx so far is the worst performance in my opinion. And I think we were about to go in our gripes. So let's start with you since you're fresh off the scene. Your initial reaction, and then what one or two gripes you had with the film or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wanted to get to the gripes first, just to get that out. The gripes on the whole were minor. Overall, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I will say
yeah.
this. I have been to, oh my God, probably almost every single Marvel movie since 2008. I have gone to on Thursday night previews.
Mm.
I don't think in all the movies and all the Marvel movies, all the Thursday night previews, of course, I skipped Captain Marvel completely. I refused to see it, and I fell asleep watching it on Disney Plus for the first time. But apart from that, I don't think I've ever heard an audience explode to that degree that I heard
Really?
tonight in the theater. Yeah.
More
I
than
think every-
Endgame?
Well, okay. Well, in game, Endgame was Endgame, right? There was no like major holy shit. I mean,
Oh,
people
okay.
applauded, people
Captain
loved
America
it.
picked up the hammer, man. Like people went
Right.
nuts.
They went crazy.
Well, okay, people went nuts, and we got some applause and cheers when that happened. But and again, I just want to make sure we are now into spoilers, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and not that this is terribly much of a spoiler because it's been the worst kept secret about this
Right.
movie since forever.
Yes, it has.
But when and this also is part of a gripe, which is why I'm bringing it up. When the portals opened and Garfield and Maguire stepped through,
Oh, when
that
Ned figured out how to open up the
Yeah,
portals.
that
was my.
that's the gripe. Yeah,
Yep.
that
Yeah.
that theater exploded. I mean, people
did.
came out of their chairs.
Yep.
I had 4 dozen women around me screaming. I had my 14-year-old daughter with me, who thinks Tom Holland is God, like most teenage kids do. I mean, they all lost their shit. I have never heard an explosive reaction to that degree. And at the same time, yes, that is my gripe. And the gripe is a two-parter that starts with Shang-Chi.
Mm.
I absolutely, and I didn't see Shang-Chi in the theaters. I was down here when Hurricane Ida blasted through. My theater actually just opened not even a month ago, got back open
wow.
after having the roof ripped off and every screen and speaker in there destroyed because they had 50 speakers out in the parking lot a month and a half ago as they started renovations. But at the end, when I finally saw Shang-Chi on Disney Plus, I hated what they did to fucking Wong. I love Benedict Wong. I'm one of those guys that adored Marco Polo on Netflix. I loved that show, and I loved him in it as Kublai Khan. He is such an amazing fucking actor, and he's now the Sorcerer Supreme. And it's like, why is he drunk and singing karaoke in a fucking bar with Aquafina at the end of that stupid ass movie? So they bring him back in.
You don't believe in magic?
Yeah, no, not like that. But my issue is, and this is where it ties into Spider-Man, folks, is that I at the end of that, and at the end of Shang-Chi, we got this. Okay, it's not just Shang-Chi, right? It's Shang-Chi and friends. Because now Aquafina is coming in. Like, Wong doesn't just grab Shang-Chi, he grabs Aquafina like she's going to be an Avenger too. Like, the fuck did this bitch do?
Right.
I mean,
He brought a fanny pack.
yeah, exactly.
Scooby-Doo gang. It's the Scooby-Doo gang.
Yeah. So we kind of got the same thing here. I didn't like all the Ned stuff. It's too much.
Yep.
It's too much Ned. It's way too much Ned. And it really pissed me off that, I mean, I love Doctor Strange. I loved the movie. And I'm sitting there watching, okay, here's Stephen Strange, who is the most accomplished physician in the world, the most accomplished surgical physician in the world. And it took him, as they said, years of practice and study, right? How did you become a doctor when the Ancient One asked him? And it took him forever to learn how to use a sling ring. Ned picks the fucking thing up and just whoop.
Yeah.
Just messing around. He was just messing around, and the next thing you know, you see a little sparkle. I said, "Shut the fuck up!"
Exactly.
That easy.
I'm looking at this and I'm
Anybody
thinking,
can do that
son of a bitch, this is the new Marvel thing where they're going to take all like the bullshit characters that are supposed to be there for comic relief, and now we're just going to just turn them into equals. It's the old expression, when everybody's special, nobody is
special.
Nobody
Yeah.
And I hated that part. But that aside, the rest of the movie, I really, really enjoyed it. And the movie, otherwise, I thought was so good. Of course, narratively, it's not perfect. No movie is. But there's enough. Look, this is a popcorn movie. It's supposed to be fun. And it was a hell of a lot of fun. And the hell of a lot of fun part, in my opinion, for me, outweighed some of those little niggling issues, let's call it, it just kind of picks at you. I can get rid of those. I can ignore those.
The Ned thing didn't bother me as much because basically it doesn't matter. It's probably not going to happen now. It was just kind of a throwaway thing.
Yeah, but that's
I
the
just
woke,
figured,
that's one of the woke
throwaway.
scenes. That's one of the
He's
woke
a
scenes.
surgeon, right? So
Yeah,
he's
here's the
got
other
all
part,
these
too.
thoughts in his head.
Here's the
Ned
other part,
doesn't
too.
have any thoughts in
Ned
his head,
didn't
so he
pull
clears mine.
Ned did not pull those two Peter Parkers from their own universes. They were already in this current one, just kind of lost. So there's no reason for him to have had this scene. They just could have followed their Spidey sense and then, had an interaction.
See, that's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
It would have been more interesting, where Peter Parker is knocked off, say, a bridge.
Well,
and all of a sudden,
speaking of
another
that,
Spider-Man comes out of nowhere and just hits the bad guy, and then you're like, wait, I just knocked you off. He's like, yeah, I'm not the same guy.
It's weird because it feels like there's a deleted scene that wasn't even meant to be there anyway.
Yeah.
Because it feels like Toby and Garfield met each other earlier in the movie that we just didn't get to see it. Like
yeah,
the way they're
because-
acting
Yeah,
towards each
I
other.
felt like
Because
that
even
too.
Garfield talks about his MJ, and it's like, you don't know who MJ is or the context of that. Like, why are you
Right.
bringing that up?
Yes, I agree.
That's
You're
the
right.
okay. There's my other big gripe of this movie. It feels like a good third of the movie is on the cutting room floor.
Probably is.
I
Yeah.
know they changed a couple things just from what I heard. The leaked photos clearly
We're
there was
accurate.
stuff that was changed. They were accurate, but there was stuff that was changed at the end.
Yeah.
Because that shot of them standing next, all three of them standing together, was
Right.
at night in the movie, but it was during the just before
Dawn.
night,
Yeah.
dawn or
Yeah.
dusk. Yeah, one of the two. I can't remember which, but
It's
yeah,
Well,
I
you know,
think-
Tom, since you bring that up, let me add one last.
because there
point.
was another death that got changed.
See that was the
Because
Aunt May
I
thing
was
got
told
me.
early on that Toby died.
You know,
Yeah, I knew they weren't
okay.
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, I
say
like that part.
that fucking part pissed me the fuck off, man, because I was like, we get towards the end, that motherfucker got stabbed in the back, and I straight
Right.
up was
I
like,
think in the other
if he
version he did
fucking
die.
dies
With a 12-inch blade.
with a 12-inch blade, no doubt, and I love
He's
how
like,
he was
it's all
like,
missing
good.
all
I've been
major
I
stabbed
did. I like
before.
that part though. And he's like, no, it's all
Organ.
good. I've been stabbed before, and I'm like, haha, that's a cute reference. But god damn, people,
Yeah, but
He
still,
he
they
should
made
have
him look a
died.
little tougher than he looks.
But wait,
It's
let me
like-
tell
I think
you
the other
why.
version that he did, and that's what I think that's a reshoot.
That
Let me
would've
tell
been
you
too
why I think
predictable
why,
and
though.
tropey if he got stabbed in the back while trying to save him, though, and then he died.
Did it not bother anyone about Aunt May's line where she
pissed me
took from
off.
Aunt Ben? 'Cause
What really
that
bothered me
drove
is-
crazy.
Yeah, that bothered
Here's
me.
why it bothered me. I'll say, I was not bothered by the fact that she said it. I was bothered by the fact that Peter didn't say, that's what Uncle Ben used to tell me.
Right?
Wait,
Yep.
what
If he
specifically?
said that,
Yeah.
if he said
with
that,
great
you
power
totally
comes with great
understand everything that-
responsibility.
Oh yes.
Right before
okay.
she died, and he didn't say that's,
That's
what Uncle Ben used
Ben's
to say.
line.
You
In
know,
the-
he didn't say that, and she's like,
He
you know,
should
I'm just
have,
gonna catch
yeah.
my breath, and then I was just
Yeah,
like
but-
sitting there going, Marissa Tomei is dead, son of a bitch.
See, to me,
Yeah.
if they're all, if a version of the Ben family says this in some way in every different possible universe, right?
They should have said
There,
it.
there has to be an origin for why that is. There has
Yes,
to
and
be a
which you
Ben
found
crime
out-
somewhere that got spread
you
somehow.
found that
No,
out
no, there's
towards
an
the end.
Uncle
with
Ben
both
learns
Peters.
this
They go, yeah,
because of
my
his
Uncle
time-
Ben used to say that.
Yeah, Uncle Ben learned that lesson because of his time during the Second World War in the comics.
Right. Right.
Yep,
That's where he
exactly-
learned the lesson because he knows about the super soldier
So-
program and all that
We
stuff.
did get a flash of whoever Uncle Ben was, but couldn't pause it to see who they had playing him.
So then, why the
Oh.
hell would Marissa Tomei say that? She was never in a war.
Right.
I don't know if
Well,
you guys
the
caught that.
idea
or
is
not.
that
She was
said-
hanging out with
catch
Cousin
it.
Vinny being
I
hot.
didn't catch it. What are you talking about, Tom? What flash? I
They
didn't-
showed who Uncle Ben was in this movie.
There was a photo.
Yeah.
There's
There's
a photo, but it goes
Oh,
by
that,
so
that,
fucking
that.
It's
quickly.
like
It's-
the
it's-
blink.
Two
Yeah, you're
frames
right.
out of 24 in a second.
You're
Because
right.
there was also a
Was it
quick
Clint Howard?
glimpse- No,
No,
there was
too
a,
chubby for Clint Howard.
there was also a glimpse towards the end when Doctor Strange was casting the spell and everything was starting to crack in purple,
Right.
and you started seeing like Rhino and all that. There is a little glimpse. It is a fucking quick flash of where you see Westview.
Oh, really?
So at the same time, if you see it, it says you have Westview, but you also see like a little lightning. So I'm also thinking this is the same time Wanda in WandaVision was doing her shit like on the final episode.
Well,
you see
I'll be
her
honest
in
with you.
the
I
credits.
think that I was going to say, George, the post-credit scene, my opinion was, I
Right.
think that's perhaps what they actually shot, or
Yep.
they wanted to shoot for WandaVision because Kevin Feige came out and said this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That,
This film,
that-
it takes place before the Hawkeye series.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Wait,
said
this
that
is
we
before
didn't
or
want to have the
after?
white man coming
Before.
in and saving the day at the end of WandaVision. So we don't know if they really shot it, but we know they had it scripted. Now they may have shot it and just cut it out. And that scene we saw at the end was actually what they shot. Was supposed to be the end of
Oh, I
WandaVision.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just
supposed
before
to-
Christmas.
So is this is what's supposed to launch then the universe of the multiverse? The what do you call it? The
Multiverse of
next
Madness,
Doctor?
yeah.
Yeah, the
The-
multiverse.
the
of
let's
madness.
mix it all together and
That was
whatever we
my
decide
other-
to do counts. Yeah.
That was one of the other things I didn't like, believe it or not, was basically the trailer we got for Multiverse of Madness.
Right.
I don't like the looks
Yeah.
of it. I was like, fuck. This looks like another Thor, fucking the second Thor one.
Thor the Dark,
Dark
World.
World?
yeah.
Dark World. That's
didn't
what
get
it
that
felt like
vibe.
to me.
I think they
I don't know.
honestly just threw it together just to get us to shut the fuck up because they're like, we got to give them something. Because like
Now,
we've been waiting patiently for years, and I'm like, people like me going, yes, I'd like to see a trailer of the multiverse.
Right.
And
I'm sure
then
a
I
lot of
get it,
people
and I
were
go,
like, yeah.
this is what you give me? I've waited this long, and this is what
Well,
you give me?
hang on,
Okay.
Jeff, though. Think about this. What are they doing right now? 6 days a week, 6 weeks between November
they doing
1st and
reshoots?
Christmas of massive reshoots for
For
Strange.
which? Really?
Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, I
That's
didn't-
like
I
the
didn't
whole
know that.
movie. That's the whole movie.
I didn't-
About
I- the
2/3
other-
of it, probably.
Well,
I also was worried that what I didn't.
I mean, it's
like-
not the
I
whole
like-
movie, but that's a significant amount
That's
of
a good chunk of
reshoots.
time.
That's a
I
lot.
did-
That's not
Good
pickup
chunk of
shoots.
time.
That's a lot of new stuff.
Did anyone like the Venom credits?
That was all right.
I did.
I thought he was going to be in.
it was
I thought they
okay.
were going to have him in the movie. I didn't like him in
No,
that.
I knew they
No,
were
yes
going to
and
do.
no,
that would have been too
because-
much. That would have been too much in this.
Okay.
No, I knew that they were going to
Did he
do something.
ever? Did he ever know that who Spider-Man was?
Nope.
No, he was talking to
No.
the bartender and learning.
So
So
we're
we're
Grace
going
does,
off
they didn't
of
bring him in, thank God.
Doctor Strange's line of "We don't understand how this works, so now everything counts." But when he blinked back into his own universe, and a little tiny bit of the symbiote is left, of course, that's
And that's what
stupid
I-
as fuck. Because
Actually,
if it was part of him, or even if it's not part of him, and it's just a symbiote that's free floating and it's from the other universe, it's going to go back.
Right,
he's going
but
to
that's
find the
whole
Eddie
thing.
Brock. He's going to find. Well, I get
He's
it.
gonna
They-
find the Eddie Brock of that time.
Here's
no,
the
my
thing.
point is,
No,
why
he's
is
gonna
he in
find
the other
Spider-Man
universe? I
and
thought
afterwards find the Eddie
I
Brock.
thought they're supposed to be in the same universe. I don't understand why he.
They
blinked
they
back.
did see. This is where I was trying to figure it out too, because I was told some stuff, but I see what they did here. They did this like this movie managed to do like 10 different fucking things.
Mm.
I don't know how the hell they managed to do it, make it a good movie, because what they managed to do was combine every effort they had before, leave it open for the future. You can bring in, and because this is the thing, Feige loves Venom,
Right.
but it's been kind of rumored that he wasn't too keen on Sony doing this shit with what they did with Venom. So he found, and there's other people who aren't fans of this. They're pissed, and like, you know, I didn't hate the Venom films, but I'm like, you know, you can't really do Venom without Spider-Man. So now what they're doing is they're set up to where we're going to get a completely different Venom.
Venom, Carnage.
We're going to get a completely different Venom in the MCU,
That's
plus
fine with
the other
me.
Venom on the other side, which is going to be the other Venom.
So,
Well, wait a minute.
See,
I thought
I have-
that was-
I
fine.
see-
That's fine.
and
by
here's
me.
my question, because you have Morbius,
Honestly.
what comes out next month, right?
I thought it was in
It's soon.
2 weeks.
January
no?
or February.
January.
Oh,
Janu-
something like that.
I
January.
made a complete mistake. Okay,
Now,
January.
do you
January.
think Tom Holland's going to have a cameo in this film,
No.
in Morbius?
Nope.
Nope.
No, not at all. I thought he was supposed to.
I
No,
was going
but
to
they
say,
might put a
what do you
link, you
think?
know?
Because, I mean, you know,
They might make a reference,
Can-
but I don't expect
Can
the
I
same
can I throw a theory out there about Morbius for a
Please,
second?
Steven.
Yeah.
Does anybody think we might get a Blade cameo at the end of Morbius?
Yes.
no,
That
maybe.
would
I
make
think
a lot
that's
of
more
people
possible than
happy.
Spider-Man.
that
50-50
may-
chance.
maybe.
Well, we know there is one Spider-Man bit in Morbius because that mural's in the background, but it's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. So I guess you could kind of almost insinuate that maybe he's in the Tobey Maguire universe. I don't
Well,
know.
wait, no, because you had him. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Tom, because you had his voice, Mahershala Ali, if I pronounce it correctly, at the end of Eternals in the end credit scene. When you have Jon Snow, I always forget his name, Jon Snow, when he opens up the
Kit Harington.
Kid Harington.
There you go.
The Queen.
Yeah, the Queen.
He got all
When he
douchey in
opens
real
up-
life.
yeah.
No one cared about him anymore.
He does. When he opened up the box and he sees the sword, you hear Blade's voice. There, Blade. So
Yeah.
he must be in this. He has to be in this
Oh,
universe.
He's
hopefully
gotta
Blade
be,
took
yeah.
care of business
Maybe.
with the quickness and got rid of Jon Snow.
All I know is that
Shit,
the
I'll be
painting in the
here.
background in the trailer is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. That's all I know. And it
But
says
I did
murderer
enjoy.
scrolled
I
across
did
it.
enjoy Charlie Cox coming in as
Oh
Daredevil.
hell yeah, that was a great.
I
Yeah,
thought
it
he was
was-
underused. That was the one that when you guys
I
mentioned
I
cameos,
really wanted him to be in there a little bit longer.
Yeah,
but I'll
me too.
take
I
it.
would, but I
Fuck, somebody threw a
understand.
brick at the back of his head. He's just like, shoot.
Yeah, how did
I
you-
understand, though.
He's all, how did you do that? He's like, I'm a
I'm a good lawyer.
lawyer.
I know
That's
that's
a
a
good
great
lawyer.
line. It's like
You
I'm not answering
already
you.
had so much in this movie. To use him anymore would have
Oh,
it
would
would have
have been
gotten overbearing. And I
Yeah.
think it was
Perhaps.
enough to have him in there to where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, he's
I can see
officially
that.
on the big screen now, folks.
Yeah, it's
Stay
about fucking
tuned.
time.
You know,
did a good
so
job.
oh, absolutely.
I thought they
So,
were
I
going to
mean-
mention Punisher somewhere or see a sign. I was looking for him.
Well, Punisher's the only one that really hasn't been nailed down.
And
yet,
look,
I don't think.
the theater came out of their chairs, not as big as the other scene, but the theater came out of their chairs and squealed when Cox
Oh,
showed
yeah.
up.
Oh God, yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll
I
tell you-
did hear a couple
Yeah.
people go, "Who is that?" And this, I heard
Really?
like one dude. I heard one guy go, turn on Netflix, bitch, who wants to share it?
Wow.
I was like, holy shit.
That's a good one.
I thought there was going to be one other cameo that may have been cut out.
The
Which?
She-Hulk thing, right?
The She-Hulk thing, yeah, because
I
I was told
kept
that
waiting
She-Hulk
for
was
some
supposed to have a
She-Hulk.
cameo.
Like-
Yeah.
Wait, like
never
linebacker
happened.
She-Hulk from the comics?
No, the one
No,
that's
no,
going to
like
have a show
sexy
here in
She-Hulk.
like a few
Like
months.
real
here,
She-Hulk.
Yeah.
You got the unicorn, Tom.
You know, one thing I will say that jumped out at me because I really want to get everybody's thoughts on this. So, you know, I the business, financial, legal brain went on when some of the storyline proceeded in this, and we've all talked about for a while. You know, Tom, script, everybody else on the deals over the years between Sony and Marvel, and I found it very interesting that the way the story was crafted, specifically with the how it ended with everybody forgetting, and I'm trying to use very vague language because I have a 16-year-old that will come downstairs and stab me if I say too much out loud because she is not seeing it till Saturday. And so, but they left it to
The final
where,
spell, yeah.
yes, that final spell, to where Sony, if Marvel and Sony do not come to a future agreement, there's no issue.
Well, and that was kind of set up that way with the last one, but I think it's more so now is we already know that they've got at least another 5 years or so or better of stuff. We know.
Well, they've talked about making 3 more movies, but I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing in concrete. There's nothing signed. There's nothing.
Well,
My big hope was I would see some kind of something X-Men, something Fantastic Four, something, anything.
I think
I don't
my
think
biggest
Marvel. I
gripe-
don't think they would have wanted to do that because they don't have anything long-term legally in place to share the
Well,
universes. They have
what
to be
we talked
careful.
about the other day was when Tom Holland come out and clarified what Amy Pascal meant. He said, yeah, there's like a 3-picture deal with Sony and an open-ended deal with Marvel.
Yeah.
Right, but that's nothing concrete.
No,
So
but that means
that's
that
why
doesn't.
I found it interesting.
It may not be
that
concrete, but it also could mean that doesn't mean that there's any set limit on how many movies he's going to pop up in.
I think the impression I get, this is going to be a moving target, and it's going to be a picture for picture kind of
Really?
renegotiation.
You don't think they're going to lay it out further than that? You think Marvel would do that?
I disagree
don't-
with that.
I don't know
wholeheartedly,
if I mean I think they want to, but I don't think my point is I don't think there's anything concrete in place at this point.
Well, the
Because
reason
How do you lay out a franchise? Sorry, how do you lay out a franchise for the next 3 to 4 years for the next phase 4 and phase 5 based on one deal at a time? Do you think
You're winging it.
Yeah, that's
You're
exactly
winging
how
it.
you improv.
No,
well,
I don't
because
think that
because
would be-
Pulling a
Spider-Man
rabbit out of your ass. You're just like what
Spider-Man
comics
doesn't
do I
have
wanna
to be a
do?
part of every single thing.
right?
No, but
No, but all the
Here's
different
my
properties that you
here's
really
my
want
biggest
to.
thing, because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. So with this film, I was expecting the Sinister Six.
Right. Well, they did
I
in a
don't-
way.
I only got 5.
Well, yeah, but they don't have the hunter. What's his
they're
I
still
only
setting up
got-
the Sinister Six.
I only got 5.
Craven? They didn't have Craven.
You had enough to give me 6, and you only gave me 5.
Oh, they're going to have the Sinister Six. That's already been.
Like that
talked
was my
about,
big
yeah.
gripe, and then I was like, well, if you're gonna do the Sinister Six, you have to kind of incorporate Madam Web one way or the other. Didn't get that, but I'm okay with that for right
Well,
now.
here's why I don't agree with you, Valiant, on that. I think the open-ended part is just because, look, to this point, Sony has gotten the better part of the deal as far as borrowing characters.
Yeah.
Spider-Man hasn't shown up on the MCU side of things as much. And from what I heard from the inside was that this deal was much more fair across the board for both parties. And it makes sense if they have that open-ended deal, because then that gives Kevin Feige the freedom to be able to pull in Spider-Man whenever he needs. Not like, oh, we only have 2 times to use them, so we got to make them count kind of thing. To where the Sony thing is the more
with
set
you.
in stone, 3 movies. He's got a trilogy, another 3 movies set that are going to happen no matter what. And again, you're right. I see what you're saying, because they had themselves set up the last time, and they were also set up this time to where if they need to, they can go into that other universe. But the difference was between that time and this time is no longer is that stipulation in place where they have to have the characters basically quote unquote 25% different anymore. That's the thing that changed this time around. And that's why I feel like they've kind of pushed MJ and what's his face to the side, because I'm not so sure Zendaya is going to be coming back. She's
I hope
probably
not.
Well,
not
that may
cheap.
be, and look,
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, and I agree with it in the principle. All I was trying to get across was I just found it interesting that the way the story was written, the way that ended, is that if either party really wanted to walk away,
They can.
or they
They could, but I feel like there's less of an opportunity for that now than there was with the last one.
Well, that's extremely clever, I think, because
there's less of an opportunity. Well, Marvel would suffer the more dire consequence than I think Sony would.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
See,
here's the
this
thing
movie,
is-
to me, it's all about him being selfish, right? That's what caused the whole mess in the first place. Then at the very end, where he walks away from her, I felt that was him being selfish again, and he didn't learn anything. But the real point of that is to maybe she's in the next one, maybe she isn't.
Well, no, the reason he walked away is because he's seen that, he was reminded that she got hurt, right?
Oh yeah, and all
So
the
he's
things
making
that are
that
easier
superhero-
without him, and
He's
all
making
that
that
shit.
superhero sacrifice.
He's
Yeah.
doing what
Yeah,
Tobey Maguire
but
did.
that's bullshit because she already told him that's not his fucking choice. She was going to find him and figure it out anyway.
Right, but but remember,
It's
Tobey
not what she
Maguire did
wanted.
that.
It's not what she wanted.
Yes,
That's what
it was
he
stupid
wanted.
then. It's a stupid trait of Spider-Man where he doesn't understand what it is he's doing.
Right.
But
Because
can we
artist is on
give-
the book smart, he
That is a
idiot when
big
it comes
trait
to
with him.
social
He always
interaction.
fucks up the
Can
simple
we
shit.
give our boy? Can we give our boy Garfield an attaboy for finally getting?
I liked
his-
the
You
way
know
he
what?
was in this
Like,
film.
you
I
know,
was
God
enjoyable in
damn
this.
it, he
I have to
finally
admit,
saved his
he never got to fight an
finally
alien.
saved his Gwen. You know,
I have to admit, I
like,
never really
Yeah,
saw
Yeah, that
the
was
Andrew
actually my
Garfield
favorite
movies.
scene in the movie because I felt
Like,
for him.
So you've
damn
never
it!
seen
Like
those
he
two,
finally
Valiant?
saved his girl. I mean, he didn't save his
Right.
girl, but he got
saved
his
a version of
redemption.
her.
Yeah,
got
so
his
like when he landed,
redemption.
you could see it on his face how fucked up he was in his head, and I really
Well,
enjoyed that. That made
well,
it
here's the
said
much
it.
better.
He said it. He went bitter.
What I
Yeah.
loved about this movie, it was almost like whoever wrote it was like clearly listening to the fans.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
Oh,
agree
for
with
sure.
that.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying when I said earlier to not just George in private, but in the beginning of this and then a few other people. I said this movie did everything it had to do. I don't know how
Right.
it managed to do it, but it
I
did it.
know.
And it did it in a way that, like, okay, because there was tons of meta jokes at how basically we've done nothing but shit on Garfield's fucking Spider-Man since it came out.
But
There-
they didn't do it in a stupid way. They did
No,
it
no,
in
they
a
did it
friendly,
in a way,
brotherly
and they
way,
gave
and it
him
made it nice.
his moments to shine.
Right.
I was surprised how much they both were in it.
Right.
Like
Oh,
Jesse
yeah.
pointed
That's
out
what
to
I'm
me,
saying,
they
like,
got
it's not
equal.
cameo.
They got equal time, which I was surprised as well.
Yep.
Right.
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually
That
wanted
made
to
it
see
so
more.
much better.
I actually wanted to see more of Garfield, like after this, the way they portrayed him in this. Like, I didn't like the first two that he did. That's why I said earlier, I didn't like his two films, but seeing him now, I liked his portrayal here in this film. And I wish
I
we'd have
did.
more of
I
that.
liked it when he
Well,
was
that's
at
half
that
the deal with
house
Alex
and you got his
Kurtzman writing.
and you got his aunt
Say it
asking
again.
him to remove the cobweb from the corner. You know,
That
because
I didn't
Yeah.
really
it's
like.
hanging from the wall. He's like,
That's the
while
MCU.
you're up there, can
that
you
kid's
go?
grandma's funny.
Right, that I didn't like, but that's the MCU. They're always going to do something
Clear
corny.
that
Like,
shit
but
up.
what was
Actually, there
Script-
wasn't very much corny humor in this movie. To be
What was
honest with you.
Script
It was
saying
tamped
something-
down. It was well controlled. Everything
had
fell
to
together.
be,
Actually,
especially
you know what,
this.
folks? Breaking news: Script Doctor wrote this movie.
No.
No, I'm just kidding.
No,
Nice.
Script was saying something when I said I enjoyed the way Garfield Spider-Man. You said something. What was it, Script? I didn't catch it.
Well, that's what happens when you have someone that's not Alex Kurtzman write a Spider-Man.
Okay.
I did think it was really funny.
No,
when he
that was a
jumps up and he
turn.
hangs off the ceiling, and she's like,
Yeah.
"No, that's not good enough." He's
That
like,
was a
"How the
turn
fuck are you
because
doing this?"
because even though Jamie Foxx didn't lose his character, they
Well,
definitely let Garfield like redeem himself quite.
yeah,
a
I think so.
bit.
Hey, William
I-
Dafoe brought it though. I gotta say,
Oh,
man.
fuck yeah.
Oh,
He
Jesus
always
Christ.
does.
He was a
He
treat.
didn't skip a
Dafoe not
beat. It
bring
was
it.
like bringing it
He
back just
played
from the
both sides of that
original.
Oh, and that goes to my
So
next
well.
point. Okay, so the next thing they had was we hated that fucking mask. So what's the first thing they fucking do?
He
Right.
destroyed
Rid
that
of that
motherfucker.
They did that so well, and they made the hood perfect out of
Yeah.
a plain
And you
fucking
know,
purple hoodie.
I gotta admit,
Yeah, just a hoodie.
The
I loved it.
audience
That
in
was
the movie
it.
theater
Yeah, it
actually
looked great.
applauded when that happened. When he broke his
It's
mask, I was like,
good.
"Oh, thank God!" I was like, "Thank God that piece of shit mask."
And
is
I mean,
gone."
even
And
though
not
they
for nothing.
telegraphed it from a mile away what was going
Right.
to happen
It's
in that
okay.
third act, but
We
It was
didn't
done
care.
well.
Yo, but when
All
he
I
went
say is he's
bonkers and he's
immortal.
beating the shit out of him, yo, when he gave him the like the Arn Anderson fucking spine buster, I was like,
Oh,
damn, right
dude.
through the floor.
And
Right.
fun
It's like,
fact,
yo, he's
William
bringing
Dafoe,
it to
he did his
Spider-Man
own
this
stunts
movie.
in this movie. He said if he was gonna do
oh,
this
he looked
film,
ripped.
he said he wanted to do he wanted to do as much as he could. So he wanted to do as much stunts as he could, and he did them all in this
He might
film.
look twice
No,
as big.
the
in
ones
this
he
movie
didn't
as
do are the
he
ones
Oh,
did.
where
yeah,
he
he
went
looked
through a wall.
jacked.
Yeah, the
Not
ones that he
Horizon,
went through
he
the
went
wall,
through a
he
wall.
didn't do because he was just like, he's
'Cause he's 66 years old
It's
and
a
you can't
wall.
get insurance
No, but
on that.
he's big, man. Like he's almost bigger than he was in the first Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, you could easily see
hell
him
yeah.
kicking the shit out of Tom Holland in real life.
Well, he's also got another movie coming out. I think it's like Murder Alley or some shit coming out with
Nightmare Alley. Yeah.
There you go. Thank
Oh,
you,
the remake,
Nightmare Alley.
Nightmare Alley,
Yeah,
yeah.
because he's got that film getting ready
Okay,
to drop.
and then
too.
going on even more, like they did as much as they could to distance Spider-Man from Stark Tech as much as possible in this film. Like to the very, very end where you got the genuine, original Spider-Man costume. And that's when people in my theater cheered.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
they
Oh, it was
saw
so
that
blue.
costume
You
and they
had
were
some
like,
super nerds in your theater then.
oh, they were. Well, they there's 2 or 3 times where they actually kind of made some noise other than just a few chuckles here and there.
It
The
looked
first
great,
one, of
though.
course, was Daredevil.
Right.
That was one
Oh,
that made him
God.
chuckle.
Oh yeah.
Then of
Everybody
course,
launched.
when Andrew Garfield popped in, like we got some.
They went nuts for that. And Tobey Maguire.
For sure.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the one that really brought down the theater was that last shot of him in that costume, and everybody saw him in that last costume.
Oh yeah.
Like
Dude,
everybody
I
was
did-
just
I
like,
The
liked
blue on
that-
that costume.
I liked
was
that he
perfect.
made
It
his own
looked so
costume.
good.
I
Blue
hated
is
the fact
beautiful.
Hold on.
Yeah, it
I
was.
Wait,
like that he
script.
made the costume. I hated the fact that they went backwards with the effort of design to the previous film. I mean, I don't like the Stark Tech that was introduced in the Civil War part, but I like the
Mhm.
material. I like the gimmick with the lenses, and I like the fact that it didn't look like it was an overly, and like it looked more like a comic booky costume. But
Right, it
they
did.
end up doing here, they get like this metallic blue, this metallic red crap. They give them the solid lenses, which I'm like, we've already seen that stuff. Keep the freaking adjustable lenses. That was the coolest little
Yeah.
tick on that. He could have basically like Frankenstein that out of what's left of what he had from Tony Stark, just to like get in there and keep that thing separate. Because a lot of the times during the fight scenes, if they did any of the close-up shots with the mask, the only way I knew it was like Tom Holland's Peter was when his eyes would adjust. I could not tell the difference between the other 3 when they had the close-up shots of
Oh.
the faces.
Oh yeah.
Because they all
Yeah.
looked relatively the same. And now we're going backwards again with that. Like you had a really cool thing, and now you're just gonna throw that away. I mean, and then
Yeah,
the
I'm
color
fine with
choice, I
that
would
because
like
he's
them to color be more
Spider-Man and
neutral
he doesn't
more
need
like
that.
homemade stuff.
You noticed they did the meme, the Spider-Man meme, right? With all 3 Spider-Man standing
You heard it.
looking
Pointing
at
at
each
each
other
other,
and
yeah.
going pointing
Yeah.
at each other. I
Yeah.
laughed my ass
Okay,
off.
well-
Did anybody hear the song from the animated Spider-Man series when it was
Yes.
how
hung?
they buried it here and there.
You like
he
the
did.
60s animated Spider-Man?
Yeah, they used that more in the second film, I think, than I heard it in this one. But no, like that's a fair assessment.
Like I'm glad
Script,
Peter
and-
made his own costume. I just was looking at him like, oh, that's a bad costume designer that got a final say on how it's gonna be the final presentation.
Well, here's the thing: is I think that again, and here's what was getting back to my initial point was, you may not have liked it so much, but I feel like they were listening to the fans because that was one of the bigger gripes of the fans was his costumes.
Well,
So
the
I feel-
gripe was the fan that the costume was a Stark Tech thing. Like,
Yeah.
and they already got rid of that, but like it's like, okay, so you're gonna give me a model that looks pretty much like the Andrew Garfield one. I'm like,
Yeah,
I've
that's how
already seen that.
Spider-Man looks. Script.
What?
That's how Spider-Man
Honestly,
No,
looks.
I'm not talking about like the
He wears a
overly
Spider-Man
dark
costume.
colors. I mean, I like the brighter color stuff on the scene. It was
Honestly,
friendly
Script,
neighborhood.
He looked
I
great
felt
in the
like it was
snow.
more of a callback to the early '80s Spider-Man costume.
I thought it was more a callback to the animated series.
Yeah,
It
it
had
I was
longer
gonna say it
toe.
looked more animated from the
Can I ask you
animated.
guys
Did
all
anybody
a
miss-
weird question after this?
Well, because it had the
RDJ?
It's a
white mixed
real
in
it's
too. but
bothering me a little
Anyway,
bit.
go ahead.
Did
sorry.
anyone miss RDJ? Anyone miss Tony Stark? I felt a little bit. I missed him a little bit. I
This
don't know
movie
why.
was
I can't remember.
ram-packed.
I know, but I missed him because I connected him with since he brought in Spider-Man.
The only thing I liked
Yeah,
was the
but-
fact that he had his Stark Tech, and I was like, "Fuck
He
yeah, let's
can't
use
grow unless you
No, I
take away
know.
Stark.
I
know.
feel bad that the
It's
last
just-
guy that Aunt May got to bang was
Happy.
it." Was happy.
Yeah, especially when I'm around, right?
Rest in
He-
peace,
he-
Aunt. Rest in peace, Aunt May.
he was
Tom,
like he's
check
looking
it
I
out.
for
love
a
you in
good
those jeans,
time.
Aunt May.
Yeah,
Rest in peace.
Sweaty time.
I know Valiant's got a run here too.
I do too, but I just want to real quick, Diego Flores, what's up, bro?
Okay, yeah, I want to grab some of these super chats here. 'Cause
Yeah, and
this
since
is
you got it up,
directed at
I was gonna
Valiant. He
say-
says, "Sorry, Valiant, but Toby dying would have caused riots here in
Yeah.
Peru. We were ready to burn down theaters if no Toby appears or if he dies. For how much we love him."
Let me say this, Diego. And I kind of hat tipped my daughter who was with me tonight, and I said, as that scene was progressing, I tapped her on the shoulder. I'm like, get ready. This theater is about to lose their shit again. Because I'd watched, and I'm just one of those, I watched the bootleg videos. I don't care. It doesn't spoil it for me. I still enjoy the
Right.
movies. I'm just one of those guys. And there was this audible, I mean, the theater just went dead silent and freaked out.
Yeah, that
But I
was a
knew it was
gasp
going to
in
happen.
mine
Now
too,
let me say this, Diego. Let me tell you exactly what happened. Is what you just said. Like we were talking about. I think originally he was supposed to. I think story wise that would have been so much more impactful, and I would have respected that. I think it would have added so much more gravitas to that ending that was already there, and it would have made sense. But
Would it?
It would have been. It would have
Toby
been.
stops
It would
Tom
have been
Holland
Wrath
from.
of
Hold on,
Khan
hold
with
on.
Spock.
he
Hold on with
takes
this.
a
No,
12-inch.
hold on. I'll tell you what it is. Toby
Okay.
stops Tom Holland from killing Green Goblin, right? Then Green Goblin kills Toby. How does Tom Holland not equate that to I should have killed Green Goblin?
Yeah, I
Because he
agree
just
with
killed the
Well,
other Spider-Man.
Because he
I
was
just
in Geordie,
meant
that's-
from a physical standpoint of he got rammed in the back with a 12-inch
yeah,
steel
but
blade.
then again, I think that's where they might have changed it. Is you had half the people probably asking, "Wait a minute,
That's what I was going
Spider-Man
to
should have
say.
recovered from something like that," and then the other half of the people were probably asking the same question Script was.
That's
that's
what I was
where
going to say.
when I
think
thought
the
he was gonna
audience
die-
tested it and it just didn't work.
Yeah, because
You ever try killing a spider? You get hit with a fucking
Well,
encyclopedia.
that's the other thing is when I thought he was about to die, I was thinking the exact thing that Script was. I'm like,
I
now
thought
wait
they-
a minute, that was bullshit.
I thought Spider-Man could heal that. If I remember
can.
He
correctly.
did. He
Yeah,
did.
that's why
He
I
did.
wasn't worried about it.
I was thinking, shouldn't Andrew Garfield swing this motherfucker to a hospital?
Oh, they played it off though. Like it played up until that last moment, like he was about to die. So I feel like
Right.
that's where they might have reshot or changed something.
He's like,
there.
hey, you all right? He's like, it was ridiculous.
And I did hear from certain people that there was that was the original case. So and
I could have seen a way they could have written it that even if that had happened, and this is what I was getting to, and I'm sure the audience tested it, it just didn't work, so they decided to go the other way, to where if he had died, but then he died, and then Osborn comes out of it, and he can't believe what he did. He's so apologetic, and Peter, even though he wanted to have killed him, he would have seen that he would have changed, and what Toby did was to tell him, no, this is not right. Even though he would have died, that Holland's version would have, realized I'm gonna be
That's
bigger.
a little bit too contrived. If you wanted to do that, you'd have to
No.
have Toby push Holland away, grab the antidote syringe, and jab it into Green Goblin's neck. And the instant Green Goblin stabs him,
Oh, I could see
Well,
that.
okay,
yeah.
The
yeah,
balls.
I'm with you. I got you.
because that's the only way that
Either
Tom
way,
Holland can then be like, well,
I
he's
got-
not that Green Goblin anymore. He's cured, and Toby sacrifices himself to cure Green Goblin, and that's where you're able to have your quote unquote.
I
cake and eat
thought
it.
that's where it was going to go at first.
I got you.
Script. It's funny you say that because the moment I knew Toby was like jumping in between them, I thought Toby was going to get stabbed and he was going to stab Goblin at the exact same time. That's
Yeah.
what I thought was going to, and they were going to go down together. Kind of.
See, this is why we have
See,
Script
but
Doctor here.
this way,
Yeah.
they kind of got the same effect, and Toby's not dead.
no.
Mhm.
Lives
And,
to fight
yeah,
another day.
I think
Spider-Man,
that's part of it.
Spider-Man.
But
So much merchandise, Spider-Man. Sell some socks, sell some soap, sell it all these stupid dopes. Watch out.
But I know George and Valiant
give
have
me
to
all
jump
your
out here
money.
soon. So I want to thank you guys for hopping in here. Check
Thank
out
you.
George the Giant Slayer's YouTube channel and Valiant Renegade, of course. Before you go, I'm going to grab this one super chat before you do leave here. It says the character arc in this reminded me of Casino Royale, but Spider-Man, he becomes the Spidey he wanted to at the end, a clean slate. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that gets me to another one of my points where I feel like people are a lot of people who had gripes with Spider-Boy are going to be happy there because yeah, he does make that turn. I feel like in this film. I don't know if George, you and Valiant agree with that or
Hey,
not. before you
I'm-
head out, but
Actually, yes, I'm ready to finally have Spider-Man.
Yes,
I've
he-
had
he
enough
grew
of
up.
Spider-Boy and High School Boy, and I want to see Peter Parker as a man. I want to go to the next phase of his life. It's like we keep inching up to it, and then like, okay, reboot. I'm like, no more, just move forward. Like I like the way that they had it in the first 10 minutes where he's like, when I was bitten by a spider, cool, no more flashbacks, no more montages, just we know who he is. Time to move forward. That's my opinion.
I
'cause
think
it was nice
George
to
is
see
totally
Toby
right
as
on
the
that.
older Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, this spell essentially divorced him from the MCU.
in a way,
Say
yes.
again?
And that was my point earlier with what I was saying about there was the way they handled this was to give these parties an out if something
Oh.
doesn't work out.
I got you. Now I see
Then-
what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, that if something goes awry, that the lawyers said, on both, we need an out to where this will still make sense and work, and that's why they did what they did. I will give you, before I check out, and George, I agree with everything you said. This was definitely a maturity,
Right.
a storyline for Holland's Spider-Man. This was a growing up movie, and I thought it was great because that's all the complaints I've heard is Spider-Boy, Iron Spider-Boy,
Right.
all this stuff. This was definitely a maturing film. And the acting and the deliverance of that of the performance and the storytelling, I thought was all to that end, and I thought it did it well. My last disappointment before I leave tonight is that I'm looking at a stream right now with over 600 people in it, and we have 251 likes. This is unacceptable. So I need everybody right now watching.
Him pimp for the likes.
Yeah, I'm gonna pimp right now. I'm gonna pimp this shit. So everybody, before George and I leave right now, please, please, please smash that like button. This is an amazing panel. We have great people here with Tom doing the show tonight. Jesse's here. Chef's here. We got deleted scenes over here. I don't think we've ever shared the screen together. I suck at pointing when I'm on these cameras.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, me too.
I always do that. I'm always wrong.
This way, the always amazing script doctor,
Always.
brilliant commentary of all time. I love sharing the show with script. He always teaches me something when I'm on with him, and it's thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
So thank you all, enjoy, and please smash the like button and share the stream out right now. We should be able to get these likes at least to 500, folks. Come on,
Right.
come on, we can do this. We can do this. So anyway, good to see everybody. George, we'll get together soon.
Great to meet you.
Yeah, and take care, everybody.
Yeah.
Take care.
I got a point to make. This whole movie was based upon basically Spider-Man got doxxed.
Yeah.
And now, while that is very interesting, they could have just spent the whole movie with him like clearing his name. They never even tried to clear his name. He was just like,
well, he kind of did, and that was one of my
everybody
other
forgets.
gripes. is
Why
how-
didn't he just be like Doctor Strange? Can you make a spell
Welcome back,
where
George.
everybody
It knocked
actually
me out.
knows what really happened?
Oh, I thought you were leaving too. Sorry.
I was. I just want to say goodbye and thank you to everybody.
Oh,
Thank
no,
you.
no,
It
no
was great
problem.
talking. No, it's like he left and it like knocked me out. I'm like, what is that?
That's
Automatic. Anyway, yeah, no, I loved it. Thank you for having me on. Always
course,
love it.
of
As
course.
Script Doctor and Tom, always beautiful.
Well, you're heading
And
over to
great meet
comics,
you,
aren't
sir.
you?
Yep, I'm heading over
I'll probably
there.
be heading over there afterwards if he's still going. So
Yeah.
I'll probably see you there.
Okay, deleted scenes. Great to meet you. Always great to see everybody. And
great to
Chef,
meet you
great
too,
to
George.
meet you.
Nice
Great to
meeting you.
meet you. There was one thing I was going to say. There was a line
Sure.
that stuck in my head. Of course, now the very moment that shocked me when I got out, it's left me. Just give me 1 second. Y'all go ahead and talk. There was something.
No, well, Trenchman says I felt the Venom scene was made out of spite. I see where you're coming from, Trenchman. I felt a little bit of that too. The Feige, like, okay, since you guys went and did this with that Venom, I'm gonna have this Venom over here in Spider-Man, and that's kind of where I feel like that. The MCU is going to continue, but it's going to keep that other separate Venom.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
that.
Go ahead, George.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was going to say, how are they going to do the Sinister Six now that they've depowered them all?
Oh no, they've still got.
It's going to be a brand new.
It's a
Sinister
comic
Yeah.
book. That doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, you've still got Michael Keaton. They just casted Craven with Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Okay, but who's going to be
Um,
Sandman and?
We'll probably get new
Well, they
versions
could do
of them.
Hydro
They'll just
Man.
make a new Sandman. He's
Oh,
from
so
Oh
another
you-
yeah,
universe.
Hydro Man. They're gonna use a different one. They're
So
probably
you-
gonna go from the cartoon.
They could
Well, I
throw in
feel like
Top
Venom's
Gun
gonna be
Man,
another
there's
one,
a couple
yeah.
others in there.
Venom should be Brock
Scorpion.
Lesnar.
They don't have Scorpion yet, so they could do Scorpion.
So you don't think they're going to bring Defoe back?
Not
He would
like
do it, but I don't think so. No.
Because how do you have a Sinister Six without Osborn?
they'll have a new
They'd
one.
have-
I don't know. That's a big fucking plot hole. And they kept mentioning it that, there's no Osborn Industries here. That's so weird.
Actually,
It's
that's-
that is so weird.
Haven't they teased Oscorp in other movies though? In this, like, didn't they have
I
it
don't even
in Far
remember
From
at
Home? I
this
thought.
point, dude.
Nope.
No.
No,
Could've
they
swore
haven't.
did.
They
That's
haven't.
That's why it's
they
odd
haven't
when they.
teased-
The last time they were doing that was with the Andrew Garfield ones, as far as I know.
Well, I'm pretty sure Venom will be another one of them. And
Right,
I mean,
but-
they have a symbiote in there, so
Hit the
basically the
button.
goal is to get that symbiote onto Peter Parker so that it has the spider
Yeah.
powers, and then go to Eddie Brock
Right.
afterwards.
But the way they did Carnage in the last Venom movie, they said if it comes from, a symbiote, the next one is a red one. Remember?
Well, they could
Yeah,
be
but
any
it was
color
just a
that they
drop
want,
out.
but in this case here, I'm thinking they're just going to cheat and say, yeah, it's still Venom.
Oh, okay.
I think
Okay.
they're
They
just
don't-
going to cheat. That's basically how
They don't even know where the fuck they're going
Because
right
it's
now.
like, what's the point of having Tom Hardy? This was my question, was all wrapped together. What's the point of having like Tom Hardy as Venom but then you're not going to actually bring him into the universe.
Because
Yeah,
you'll have
then you
another
make
bad.
it purposely so you cannot use him. Yeah, it doesn't make any goddamn
No,
sense
I totally
whatsoever.
get it. Actually, is because the Venom that's in those movies is a good guy.
Yeah.
So
They need a bad guy Venom.
they need a bad guy Venom. So
You mean
the
like
Eddie,
Spider-Man 3 type?
yeah.
Yep.
What'll happen
Yeah,
is
but
like
would not with
Script
Topher
said,
Grace.
that little piece of the Venom symbiote will find Peter Parker because remember that's why they had that entire scene. Remember,
Right.
he's like, actually, I thought that was kind of funny. Like the whole there's Avengers, the Hulk, this that business. That's why it all keyed in on Peter Parker because that's why the symbiote wanted to get with Peter Parker. So
Yeah, I thought something was going to go wrong when they introduced the costume making machine because that's where Venom actually came from.
well, it might
Right.
come in later.
He didn't come
Oh,
from
wait a
that.
minute.
Peter went to the
Well,
wrong
well,
machine.
in the Secret Wars, yeah, the alien costume creator. That's where the Venom.
They might. Well, now they have
Whoa.
talked about doing Secret Wars, haven't they?
Secret
Whoa.
Wars, and Secret Invasion. Those are the
Secret
two-
Invasion
two,
will be
yeah.
on Disney Plus. Some
Okay,
Well,
well,
but I
here's
don't
my-
understand one thing. If how is Venom is an anti-hero in the comics. He didn't start that way, but he is now for the last few years.
Yeah, but in the
Yeah, he
MCU,
started out pure fucking douchebag.
No, he
Well,
was, but is that not what they want? Because I thought that's what Venom was in the Venom movies. I mean, he's trying
This
to.
is
go
the
in-
Well,
This
in
is
the Venom
the new
movies, they
Venom.
skipped everything.
I was gonna say this is how they can have best of both worlds.
This is
Oh,
how
You
okay.
can
they
have
do
the
that.
Tom Hardy Venom movies going on, while you also have a bad version of Venom going on in the MCU.
Okay.
Is what they'll be doing. So like Script's right. This next movie or whatever, they'll have that piece of the symbiote find Spider-Man or Peter Parker, connect with him. They'll have their whole thing, whatever they do with that, whether it's Secret Invasion, whatever. Then he'll find that version of Eddie Brock in that universe, who will obviously be a bad version. Whether it could even be
So who
played by
should
Tom
play
Hardy.
him?
They
No,
might
fuck
bring
that.
Tom Hardy back and just
I
have
don't
him be a
like that.
different version, or it'll be somebody
They've
completely
already
different.
established that everybody in the different universes is different. They can't use Tom Hardy.
Now I will say this is nitpicking, so it might be. Did it bother anyone? And I love Spider-Man, but did it bother anyone that Doctor Strange had difficulty with him? I mean, in his first film, he took on a god and beat him, but he can't beat Spider-Man. That
Something
He
feels off
outsmart-
with this Doctor Strange.
No, I like the fact that while Doctor Strange was fucking with him in his own world, Peter figured it out with his smarts. 'Cause
right.
He's smart.
I
What is he
appreciated
good?
that.
What is he smart at? Math and
Math.
science. So he
Right.
figured out the geometry and he figured out how to kick Doctor Strange's ass in his own element.
Yeah,
I
but do you-
enjoyed the shit out of that.
That
That
was
was
a
Doctor
great-
Strange.
I was like,
that was
for
Doctor
once-
Strange's little pocket universe.
I
though.
was like, for once,
So-
he's
Well,
using
he's a
Doctor
god.
What
Strange's
about
shit
when
against
Freddy
him.
Krueger got shot up by the kid who thought he was a superhero and he beat Freddy, and then Freddy was like, "Nope, this is my universe, bitch."
That was
Right, that's what I thought that was going to happen. Is like he was
Exactly.
gonna snap
'Cause it's
and go,
like
this
it's
is my
literally his
world.
realm.
He's God there. That's why I was just asking if I'm nitpicking.
So it's like
Tom,
I'm
Spider-Man
not
could have
sure.
done all
They
that
did
shit and been all
kinda-
slick, and he could have just been like, "Nope, my
I
realm."
mean, I'm not sure because like they didn't like give us any of the scroll business to make us think that it's not Doctor Strange. They didn't give us any kind of inclination that it was any other person other than. We did get a little bit of story that we didn't know, between hand that now he's no longer the Sorcerer Supreme or whatever because he's been
He was
gone for
flipped
5
out
years.
For 5 years.
Someone had to take over that
Like-
role.
like-
and
That
then
was
go
fucked
back.
up.
Like,
He's
well, I
like-
guess
And I mean, now that
He's
doesn't
like, he
necessarily
was a
have anything
title
to
and he
do
get
with
flipped
his
out for
lack
5
of
years.
power or what have you, but
it's just it's a title that he doesn't have, but he's still like a very brilliant sorceress, right?
Right.
Sorcerer, sorry.
but I do understand like the whole thing with Ned. I kind of like, that's pushing a
Yeah,
little
the Ned
bit.
thing
But
was
That drove
weird.
me crazy. That was just in your face. I told you that to me was
see
a
now the
woke thing.
Flash thing
The
kind of
cape-
made me
he
laugh.
got to
Did
use the
anybody
cape.
else-
What the fuck was up with that?
Did anybody? Well, they're setting him up
Like
to be a
that cape
future
is strong. That's
sorcerer
one
is all,
chunky
but
kid.
I
I
don't know.
mean,
if
am
they'll
I the
actually
only
put
one
there.
that's seeing it? But they're foreshadowing, like Ned,
I
Neo
thought so, but
superhero.
then-
Because I was like,
I thought
Ned,
so, but
the
then the
Stoner
end,
Supreme.
the way the end was, I'm like, then there's probably no way that future is going to happen. So
No,
like-
they gave him a glimpse and they took it away. So I'm cool with that.
I think that's
Kinda
probably the
case. All right, I
that's
gotta
true.
get going now.
right,
But
take
thank
care,
you.
George.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
How come there wasn't more detective work in this movie? I thought that they were going to do something to find out that the tape was faked.
It's not
That-
fucking. It's not Batman.
That
bro.
was my other gripe was how
Oh,
fast
they
they
left.
kind
They
of
dropped
wrapped.
that completely.
Yeah, I
It's
It's
saw
like
that.
nobody, everyone knowing that he was Spider-Man would not have been an issue if they thought he wasn't a murderer.
Well, think about it. With the time that that everybody found out, what did he do? He took MJ to her house. Then what did he do? He figured out some stupid shit, had a teenage moment, guy, hey, dude. And then what did he do? He went to Doctor Strange. He really didn't think about it.
Well, that
Yeah,
was
but
my
why
thing.
didn't he
he
just
couldn't.
ask? Why didn't he just ask Doctor Strange for everybody to know the truth?
Well, shit. Did you
Please
see
let
how Doctor
everyone know the
Strange jumped
truth.
Did you see how Doctor Strange jumped his shit when he didn't call the college admissions?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
I
He kicked
love
him right
that
the fuck
scene.
out. He's like,
I
you
fucking
didn't
love
even,
that
you
scene.
want me to brainwash
It's like
the
you
world.
weren't that
But you didn't
responsible
make a
enough.
phone
Like
call.
you got a rejection letter, but you weren't smart enough to call. Get the fuck out of here. I love that scene.
He's
See,
like,
at
and
first,
sir.
they kind of set it up to where like it wouldn't have mattered if the spell didn't work out right anyway, because like Script said, they just kind of dropped a lot of shit, right? Like
They
I
abandoned
love,
story elements. Yeah.
yeah, I like the whole Daredevil bit, but that's where I also kind of disagree with Valiant on, them like skipping out on the MCU, because it's like whatever outs they had from that last movie, they just kind of dumped it in that scene, and it's like, yeah, you're in the clear, but not you, Happy. They're looking into you. It's like, wait, so how did they just clear him of murder? And if that's the case, then isn't half of his fucking problems over with?
He's got a
Outside of the
good
fact
lawyer.
that he's just a
They
celebrity
just
now?
glossed right over it super fast. They didn't have any sort of point counterpoint thing. They could have brought in like Ben Urich, like
Yeah,
another
the only thing
journalist.
they did
Be
was
like,
the
yeah,
three
Spider-Man's a
teachers
hero.
standing there.
What?
The only thing they did was the three teachers standing there with the one guy going, I know,
Oh,
I
those
know what you
damn
did.
teachers. I hate those.
Then
Yeah,
that
and
scene
see,
sucked.
that should have kept playing out through the film, and I think Script might agree
Fucking-
with this, because that would have given him a little, like, if it had been like, okay, we can't prove this, but they do play that, but they don't play it up enough to where it's like he can't get in trouble, right? Like they really should have played into that
If you
more.
want
Like
to
he's
swing
still
these
on-
halls, you can, brother. You can go ahead and swing these
No,
halls.
like my whole thing is like, okay,
Crawl on the
he should have been
ceiling.
under investigation for a lot longer, or if maybe they couldn't have, had enough proof to convict him of murder or whatever. But like clearly he knows he's still being watched or whatever. Like, so every P and Q he's gonna watch and make sure that, and that would have played into his whole rage storyline too after he lost Aunt May. Like that's the whole thing I didn't get. Like it felt like there was a story element that was just kind of glossed over there.
But his rage factor after Aunt May died was kind of shit. I'm sorry.
No, I understood that.
He kind of broke down, but then at the
I
end
mean,
of the fight,
I
he
get it,
was
yeah.
going pretty hard. But
But when
like,
he finally, him and like Goblin went toe to toe, that's when I was like, why don't you stop being a bitch and let it out? And that's when he let it out, because I was like, thank God.
Well, my whole point is this though, is like, okay, let's say if he was continually under investigation for the murder or whatever, they're still, like he didn't clearly get cleared yet, and he's stuck in this position where all he wants to do is kill the Green Goblin, right? That puts him at odds with the whole point of what he's supposed to be doing right now. Is like he's trying to clear his name of murder, but yet that's the one thing he wants to do is murder this guy, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like that's like a perfect motivation
And
for the
same
story.
wearing the same color scheme as Mysterio.
Yeah. Yeah.
True.
Yep.
So like, I mean, that's what I felt like. It was like they were going that way, but like when they had the Daredevil scene just kind of glossing over that shit, I'm like, wait, you can't just, how did they just, they got to give us more than that. They can't
Oh
just,
shit. Yeah,
Darius
Darius.
out of this. Like no harm, no foul. Wait a minute.
Sadly, Darius, yeah, Aunt May was killed. Oh,
Yes,
man.
stop reminding me.
That
I'm in
was-
mourning.
I don't know how I feel about her death.
it sucks because she was hot.
I
Like,
knew she was going to
Yeah.
die, but
Like-
that was why I wasn't a surprise.
Like I
Well-
get she was defending, trying to help Peter, and then shit happened. God damn.
Well, he just did it because that's what he does. He's a fucking mean prick.
And then he's trying to justify it, like, let's go, and she's just like, I gotta catch my breath, and I'm like, oh my
That's
god.
what I loved about the Green Goblin in this
It's
is
just
they let him be more like the Green
Green
Goblin,
Goblin
than he
didn't
was in
give
the
a
first movie.
fuck, man.
Yeah, he was
didn't-
mean.
No fucks given.
Now,
Loved
as
it.
long as we're on Green Goblin, at what point he smashes the mask, right?
Yep.
Then he gets kind of accepted in because he's being nice. At what point do you think he stopped being Norman and started being the Green Goblin, or was he ever Norman at that
I
point?
think
He
they kind of
wasn't
give us
Norman.
I think they give us an inclination. No, I think he was
think
up
as soon as he gets
until
to the
think
condo,
once
he's
he
no
Because the
longer-
Green Goblin can he act
I think
while
when he was
in
at
Green
Feast,
Goblin mode?
like, honestly,
mean?
I
Or
think
is he
when
just-
he was at Feast, I think it was an act.
Yeah,
I honestly
that's
think
how
it
I
was an
felt,
act.
too.
And it was a damn good act because the way he just weaseled his way in there. I don't think it was
I would
kinda felt
think
like the
that,
whole
except
thing was
that
an
doesn't
act.
match up with at the end when he does come back to normal because he does remember the other Peter, and clearly there was a time there where he was normal. But I think
I
Script's
think
right.
as soon as he sees the Fabricator, that's when the Green Goblin takes over.
I think you're about right. Somewhere
That's
in
a
that
good
point, I
point.
think there was a little
Yeah.
tip off, but I can't remember the exact scene. But like he has a little
Well,
smirk or something.
definitely with him and Otto going back and forth. Because
Yeah.
the
Well,
second he turned to him, it was like, oh shit, now you
He's
go.
like, "You're dead." He's like, "You're supposed to be dead." And he's like, "No." It's like, "I saw you die." And it's like, "What?" And it's like, "No." And then you died. And it's like, yeah, how they all figured out how they died. And they're like, "Oh."
I did like the dungeon prison because that was pretty cool. It was a good way to have your interactions, have your cake and eat it too, without just everybody fighting the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I found the Spider-Man's like iron suit being able to manipulate Doc Ock's tentacles a clever thing. I wasn't
That was
expecting
good.
that. Yeah.
He
I
hacked
did
him.
like that. And then you
He was
notice
like, your shit was built in the '90s, homie. Hack.
the black suit, right? From you notice the black suit. The
That
black
was kind of
behind the
clever how they
suit.
did bring in the black suit.
I
Oh yeah,
was,
the magic suit.
I was wondering how they were gonna bring it in, and I was like, all right, I like how they brought that in. I was like, very cool. I didn't like how they brought it in with Jamie Foxx, but whatever.
Yeah, at least his suit looked better, but it didn't matter because he didn't change his character one bit.
Did you notice
I'm
that
the
when
shit.
did you notice that when he charged up, like the electricity made the mask around his eyes?
Yep.
Yep.
That I liked. I
Jack
was like,
Beer
oh,
says,
that
just
was
watch
cool.
No Way Home. Plenty of plot holes, but love the fan service. They did give Tom's Peter the character development I was waiting for. Yeah. I'm sure there was some holes here and there. Like the obvious one, like Jesse said, was why didn't he ask for a different spell than that one per se? But anyhow,
Well,
I think
why didn't Doctor Strange and then like Doc? Okay, so you want to erase everyone from knowing you're Spider-Man? It's like, yeah, are you sure? And then that's when he starts thinking, well, I mean, Aunt May should know,
Aunt
and
May,
Ned should know, and
Ned,
this one
MJ.
should know, and Happy should know. And he's like, okay, is that everybody? He's like, yeah, okay. Before we do this, you're gonna think on this for a while and get back to me, because I mean, it's just I mean, Doctor Strange should understand the gravity of what he's doing, because he does make that joke that he's made Wong forget a couple of times.
He went to
Yeah.
that party and Wong's like, what? And he's like, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. So like that there's stuff has happened. So I think you would expect a guy like Doctor Strange, who former Sorcerer Supreme. He's been doing this a lot longer because again the Doctor Strange film takes place over many years. It's not like a couple of weeks. So he should have a little bit of the foresight, and then go from there, because I did like very much the fact that Peter's like, yeah, we got rejection letters from MIT. He's like, did you call them? Like, no. It's like, you
no.
idiot. Like, that was a great little moment.
He's
It's
like, you wanted me to cast a spell on some people to get you into college? And get the fuck out of
But
here.
here's the other part too. I'm thinking, where was that due diligence beforehand, Doctor Strange? Come on, man. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Michael B, aka Shogun Gaming, thank you so much for the very generous super sticker. We appreciate that. Wild Man Beyond says, like Cobra Kai and Ghostbusters Afterlife, they gave Spider-Man justice, especially the last shot. Yeah,
Agreed.
I agree with that. Even though Script didn't like the costume, I thought it was great.
I just don't like the fact
Yeah.
that they picked that regurgitated material over and over again. Like the
I
stuff
don't
with like the high detailed octagon spikings and like the elevated
loved
black Spider-Man webbing. It's like, come on, man, we've seen that. Just give us something that
did-
looks a little bit more homemade and less.
That's what I
studio.
didn't notice anything raised on this costume. I thought it was all flat.
I
Like
did like
leotard.
how all three of them were talking about their webbing, and how
Yeah.
Toby
Yes,
was
that
the
was good
only
too.
one, and how Toby was the only one who had it in him. And they're like, so you have webbing coming out of like,
Doesn't
Anything
come out
else?
anywhere else.
yeah, anywhere else?
No.
He's like, no.
Statham.
I like that Andrew Garfield was like, you know what a pain it is to make this? Like,
Yeah.
I have to go to the lab.
K Statham 42 says, does Aerosmith play the Spider-Man theme in the end credits? No.
No, God.
Actually,
no.
the song in the end credits fucking sucked.
That was
Yeah, they really should have just went with the simple Spider-Man.
Or I would thought they were going to finally do the Ramones one, since they've had the Ramones in the last two movies or whatever, and they haven't done their Spider-Man theme yet. I thought maybe it's about time they did, but no.
Yeah, the Ramones Spider-Man theme is a okay cover. It's just
Yeah,
more
but it's
Ramones
the only
than
one
it
they
is
haven't
Spider-Man.
done.
Yeah.
And they've had the Ramones in the last two movies, but they still haven't done the Spider-Man theme with the Ramones. So I thought it was like inevitable, you know what I mean?
Aerosmith's take on Spider-Man theme is far more into the tune of Spider-Man than the Ramones. Like,
I
the
don't
Ramones is the
disagree with
Ramones,
you,
yeah.
but that was for the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, though.
Yeah,
my
they didn't
point
even really
was-
use it in that movie.
Well, it's in the end
It's only on the
credits.
soundtrack.
Well, it's in the end credits.
Yeah, I like that they didn't waste any time when they were talking about the web block. He was just like, "Oh, existentialist crisis."
which I
Yeah.
can't call BS on because that was like the worst part of Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
I mean,
but,
I
like,
did like how
It's
Toby
just
was
like,
talking to
stop
Annette,
showing us this.
and
if
he's
you've
like,
had
"Did you have a
Spider-Man.
best friend?" And he's like, "I did have a best friend. We were really good friends." And then one day, I killed him. I was like,
One
"Dude,
day he died in my arms while trying to kill
he
me.
died in my arms while he tried to kill me." And then he's like looking at his Peter Parker, like, "Hey, dude, like, I'm not gonna become some evil guy and like try to kill you, okay?" Like, back
yeah,
the
it was-
And then Garfield gives him the nod, like, "Yep."
He's like, "Yep, good job."
Okay, so now we've got multiple scenes in this movie where you have 3 Peter Parkers. Then you have multiple scenes in this movie where you get 3 Spider-Mans together.
Mhm.
Overall, around the board, who is everybody's overall favorite Spider-Man after seeing them literally side by side?
Nicholas Hammond.
I was waiting for that.
That's the Canadian version.
I know. You know, and
I'm,
that's
I'm
the
going
funny
with
part.
Toby.
I love Toby with all my heart, but I really feel like Tom has finally earned it.
Really?
Well, I think he did great, but I think
Is it
Toby's
because
just
his
a little
name
bit
is
better.
Tom?
No. Like in this movie, I saw shades of Michael J. Fox in him. I saw shades of
Minus
acting that we've
shades.
not seen got before out of him, depth we've gotten before out of him. You know, he's
Without
played the
May
part.
Dies, he's great.
He's played the part more times than anybody else now. So in that respect, I feel like the way if this movie would have been shit and he would have been shit in it, then that would have been it for me. Because that last movie like had me teetering. Like I walked into this when I knew enough going in that I was like, okay, I know this much, but like I went in with like tempered expectations, right? Like because all the Marvel shit we've gotten lately has been garbage. Like it's been such garbage that Hawkeye has been the best thing we've gotten in a long time. And if
And
that
he's barely in his own show.
and yeah, and if we would have got Hawkeye 5 years ago, I'd have said this is worse than Captain Marvel.
Oh, is it any
Right.
good? I haven't watched a single
It's
fucking
decent,
episode.
but like
I
Script
tried
said,
and I didn't get past the credits. I was like, I'm not interested.
Hawkeye is. This is the thing: is if it was anybody else playing the what's her face role, Kate Bishop,
Yeah.
the show would fall apart. It
Ooh.
completely is because of Haley Steinfeld being likable.
Because don't
Right.
they have Vera or whatever her last name is? Isn't
Vera
she in there?
Farmiga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then you got the supporting cast, which is great. But yeah, otherwise, like Jeremy Renner is really sidelined for a
They
lot
don't
of
have
it.
Kingpin.
He's there. Yes,
He's in a
there.
photo.
Is
Yes,
it?
so far?
It's not Vincent. Is it Vincent D'Onofrio?
Yes, it's Vincent,
Oh,
yes.
okay. All right. As long as they keep it with him, I'm okay. I liked his Kingpin.
But I mean, between that and this, I mean, they're really not like holding back much. Like Hawkeye was probably one of the more violent Marvel things in a while. This movie didn't really hold back on any of the swearing and shit.
No.
Just one shit word, yeah.
No, there was a lot of shit.
There's a lot of them. Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of sexual innuendo in this film. So I don't feel like Marvel's really
Aunt
pulling
May
back.
trying to feel welcoming, like, this is a safe place, but Spider-Man's freaking out with Michelle in his bedroom.
Oh yeah, when she's getting his shirt off, he's like, "Oh my god."
And how good was Zendaya in this? This was
She
the
was
first
much better.
time
Yes.
that I
actually
ever
acted
believed
was
the
a lot better.
performance out of her.
She wasn't annoying.
Well, she was actually attached to the story. That's the problem. Is the first 2 films she's really kind of
sidelined.
worse than Lois Lane, right? Like to where
Yeah.
She's
like-
banging the lead, so I mean that.
Well,
helps.
it's just she has to play that I'm oblivious to the fact that the guy I'm supposed to be involved with is the superhero, right? Like that's the role she's playing in the first 2 films. And she gets a little bit more to do in that second movie, but I agree. Like she really got some emotional ground to work with here. She really got some moments to shine a little bit more here. And she doesn't feel like she's just there to steal thunder away from Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Like that's where I was like, this movie doesn't feel overly woke. There is a few bits and pieces here and there, but like as far as comparatively to a lot of the other stuff we've gotten, even the first 2 Spider-Man movies at this point, this was the least woke. Like there's hardly any real like in your face moments, like outside of the Electro bit where he's talking about the Black Spider-Man thing and maybe Ned getting powers right away. What else could you really argue in this movie that was all that woke? I mean, I guess you could say the whole Aunt May thing, but I think she kind of earned it too. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of me. What do you guys
But,
think?
I mean, I think the moment when the other two Spider-Man talked about Uncle Ben and then Tom Holland doesn't even bring him up. I mean, I wouldn't call that woke.
That
I just
did
call it
bother
negligent.
me, yes, but he did get kind of a little bit more of a moment in this film with the picture and all his belongings and stuff. Like, but
Well, he
again,
moved into Peter's Spider-Man 2 apartment, pretty much.
that's what I thought it was too. But instead of the rent guy, it was the rent's due on the first or whatever. Just sound like a regular guy.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for that.
Yakov Smirnoff kind of a thing. Yeah.
Rent.
Well, the thing I'm wondering is like, so does Peter Parker get into MIT now, or is he? What's he doing?
I don't know.
Yeah,
He's
that's
just gonna go
Whoa.
Spider-Man. He ain't going to
I
school.
was gonna say when he was unpacking his stuff, he had his thing for a GED.
Oh.
So he dropped out of high school.
So it seems like to me, he dropped out of high school and needs to get his GED before he pursues a college career.
Look, he could just go.
Because he's
read
supposed to
some
go to
books.
Empire
He's
State
fine.
U. That's in the comics. So
Yeah,
Mm.
If he
that's what
makes
I'm kinda
money, he
like-
could just go rob a bank. He'll be good.
But to answer your question, Jesse, Toby's still my and always will be my favorite Spider-Man.
I thought seeing them all together, he was the best. I
Like,
mean, and
Andrew-
to go with
Andrew
what
rec-
Tom said too, I feel like that Tom is kind of like a combination between the vibes of both of the previous Spider-Mans.
Andrew
he does a
rectified
good job,
himself
but
for
Toby's
me.
good. He was
But
very
Toby-
good.
there was
Yeah,
nothing
but
wrong with
Toby,
Andrew. He was
yeah.
just in 2 bad movies. Like
Yeah,
the
it was
cast
the
for
movie.
Spider-Man, cast for
He didn't write
Spider-Man
the shit.
2 is great. It's just they're terribly written movies.
I agree. But what would your choice be then, script?
I'm fine with. I mean, I liked Toby as a Peter Parker. I think he didn't put on a masculine enough voice for his Spider-Man persona. That bothered me. He still sounded like a wimpy kid. Andrew
Kid's like
Garfield
50
really
now.
got the attitude for Spider-Man in costume, but he brought that over to Peter Parker, which didn't make sense. And Tom Holland doesn't have any of that. So I mean, like it's but it is what it is, really. I mean, I liked. I mean, my favorite Spider-Man movie is the first one from 2002. Like that's a great Spider-Man film.
Steven?
I was really impressed with Andrew Garfield. I thought he stole the movie.
He stole the movie with one scene and one scene only.
Yeah, where
Right when he
rescued.
rescued fucking MJ, man, and he had.
I
that
knew
little
that was
moment.
coming.
Well,
about.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
You see him
started
jump off,
crying.
and you see him get knocked aside, and it's just like, yeah, he's gonna get her, and then he did, and like
He
the
But
got
that's a
her,
total-
and he had
that's a
that- I
total
even started
Spider-Man thing,
crying. I
like,
was
if
like,
he-
son of a bitch.
But that's a very Spider-Man thing. If he fails the first time, like he's supposed to succeed the second, and it doesn't make up for the failure the first time, but at least it tells him like, yeah, he can actually do this.
No, but I like how they gave us. Okay, like here's one thing where you guys are right about Garfield is that they did give him a shot at redeeming not just his character, but the films, right? Like, because we get this idea that since that last movie, because that's what I bitched and pissed and moaned about the Amazing Spider-Man, because it was such an unbalanced film. It was like this could have been your darkest, Empire Strikes Back Spider-Man movie, but they fucked it up because it's balanced out with this Batman and Robin level fucking humor bullshit and villains, right? Like you have this build up to the death of Gwen, but yet you have the dumbest fucking villain ever. And the storyline and the way it just kind of moved along, it was just like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like 2 or 3 different movies together, and you don't know, and the tone is completely off, and it just ruined the entire film. But at least here you get an idea of, okay, that did affect him, because that was the other thing that bothered me about the end of that fucking movie too.
It
was
didn't
just
feel like it affected him. Yeah.
No, it was just like, are you fucking? This is the dumbest fucking ending ever.
He did redeem himself when he was like, "Yeah, I was bitter. I was this."
Exactly.
I was like, "Thank you." I was like,
pulling
"Thank
my
you."
punches.
He
I was like,
had,
"Thank you for
They always say
rectifying
that Spider-Man is so OP that he has to pull punches or he'll kill people.
he had that whole
He is,
fucking
yeah.
moment. That was better than anything he got in the entire other 2 movies.
Well,
Like,
that scene between him and Toby, where Toby's like, "Yeah, I'm making my personal life work," and Garfield's like, "I haven't even had time for that." He's like, "You can do it."
Yeah, I mean, they,
I
at
mean,
least
it can
let
be
us-
done.
They gave it some gravitas, because before that, because of all the shit that's in Amazing 2, it just takes away any of the weight that had. But yeah, so Chef, what's your choice? You picked Toby, right?
Yeah, Toby. He's the goat for me in Spider-Man.
10, yeah, I mean, it's tough. They're so neck and neck right now with me. That's the thing. Elusive says, I'm shocked at how much meat each of the characters got off the bone. Even Lizard's contribution was compelling with like 5 minutes of dialogue. A real showcase for properly writing for an ensemble, in my opinion. Yeah, even though it felt like a good half hours on the cutting room floor, they did a pretty good job. Like I felt like the only one who got the shaft mostly was Daredevil. I felt like they could have given him a little bit more to do. But
God, I wish they would have gave him
He
just a
didn't need
little
to,
bit more
just hit
time.
it enough. I didn't need to see any more of him. I was
well, it was just the only character that felt like a cameo, really,
I mean,
to
it
me.
literally is a cameo.
It literally is, but I mean, like,
What would you
I
have,
don't
like, another 10 minutes of them doing like the trial of Peter Parker?
well, they could have had that keep going, and that's where I was saying script is they could have just have to keep coming around and reminding Peter that, yeah, you're under supposed to be taking it easy and keeping
You're
a
supposed
low
to be
profile
laying
and
low.
shit
I
like
mean,
that.
if they did a subplot where Spider-Man can't be Spider-Man because everybody's following him, like literally he can't save people from crimes or what have you because there's always crowds of people. Like as soon as a crime's reported on social media or something, everybody crowds around and it impedes the criminal.
Anticipation, yeah.
But the other part too is like it also allows that criminal to take hostages, and Spider-Man can't. It's got a harder job to do, and now the police are blaming him because it's like because we know you're going to show up to a crime, we know that there's going to be all these damn spectators around, and now it's a hostage situation every single time, and we just can't keep doing that, because of you. So you got to stop being Spider-Man, and that's the other part too. So then he stops, and then crime goes up, but less hostage situations. And it's like, okay, I'm seeing a really difficult choice here. Do I keep being Spider-Man and trying to rescue everybody, or do I listen to the police and not and let crime kind of get out of hand? And then you put him in that quandary. And if you wanted to have like another scene with him and Matt Murdock, where Matt's like, well, like you got to understand your responsibilities.
Yeah. I just felt like there could have been a few more openings for that, and I felt like that was just like lost somewhere along the way. Like it was just too conveniently tied up there in that first part, and it's just like, that should have been more weight throughout the film.
Yeah, Peter goes to Doctor Strange within 15 minutes of the movie. Like he was
really in and out real quick. He was like, "Hey, Doctor Strange." I'm like, "Wow."
Well, that's where I feel like a big chunk of the movie's missing is possibly like a good 15 minutes or out of that first 30 minutes in that area, like all throughout there, and then like somewhere throughout the middle. I swear there's got to be. Just the way that Toby and Andrew go after each other in that scene. You swear they've seen each other once before.
Right.
They even make like a comment like that. It's like, it's you. And then they jump, and they go after each other. It's like, okay, so these guys have evidently come across each other's paths. Like,
let me throw this out there real quick. And this was
like clean up your mess.
This was something that I was never able to confirm because Matt and I were discussing this one time on our show. Was that I had heard at one point that the runtime for this was 3 hours.
Yeah, me too.
And some change.
See, and that's the thing is,
Mikey
Sutton and a few other people did get to see an early screening, I believe, and that's where I got some of the info from and some of the other stuff, which he's put out there, so I can say his name. But the other people I've talked to, I can't. But yeah, there was evidently, because there was some things that were changed, and I do believe there was a She-Hulk cameo as well that got cut. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a good half-hour cut out of this. That's what it says. It feels like there's a half-hour cut out of this movie.
Well, I'd like a director's cut for this movie.
I doubt we'll get one. We've never got one yet from Marvel.
Nope.
So
not a single Marvel director's cut exists.
He'll get one when you're 50.
No, he'll wait till there's this till they've exhausted the
2 more years.
Series.
Great.
Yeah, until they exhausted the original series, and they'll re-release all of them in the Uber director's cut, so you have to buy them all over again.
After everything stops, they wait 20 years and they release everything.
Diego Flores says, in my theater, we screamed at Cox. Garfield Toby made the theater shake. Mm-hmm. The costume made all the guys screaming because of something that even made us think of the older stuff. Yeah, that was the vibe I got from it too. And there was quite a few gasps, but the one that really set it off was that
suit looked clean.
Yeah, it didn't look like there was any raised anything on it from my perspective.
Oh, when I looked at it, it looked like it was a hybrid between Toby's suit and Andrew Garfield's.
No, to me, it looked just like the old comic book cartoon version, yeah. Like, because I saw it in 3D, and I didn't notice anything, like, raised off the costume. It looked shimmering, but that was about it.
Yeah, I don't like shimmering effects on superheroes.
I didn't mind that, but to me, it gave me that old school kind of...
That's not old school, man. That is clearly like early 2000s, mid 2000s stuff.
Yeah,
like it just
kind of reminds me
old now.
If they
Well,
kept
it
the same
reminds-
color palette as like the very first one from Civil War, I would have, and he's just sewed it himself. I would have been fine with that. But like they had
I was
to
just
go-
glad that it was brighter, honestly, script, because it gave me more of
it was
the
bright.
old
Those were
super.
dark colors, man.
Well, the shimmering
were
reminded me
reflective,
of
but
the
they were
Lois and
dark
Clark
colors.
Superman.
Do you wear
costume.
glasses in real life?
Yes.
Yes.
There's your problem.
Mecha J says, "What did you guys think of the Tom, Toby, and Andrew Spider-Man interacting with each other?" Well, we've brought it up quite a bit, but that was definitely the highlight, I think, and they definitely gave them a lot to do. Oh, Andy Signor didn't like the ending. Sorry to hear that, Andy. I liked the ending. I thought it was good. No, I thought they all interacted really well. I loved that they all got their own moments together, and like Jesse pointed out at the beginning, they all kind of got equal time and as far as when they both came into the story. It didn't feel like they were just tacked on at the end or anything like that. So
Yeah, that would have been a disappointment.
Like, hey, we're here.
And everybody's like, "You're late."
Yeah, like, where were you guys? Like, no. It's like
Yeah.
you each. I liked how they had the whole little scientific. So you got to see the different sides of Peter Parker in a
Yeah.
lab.
yeah,
I enjoyed that.
because that's something they've
Yeah,
never
that
really
was
showed
fun.
too much of before. Is a lot of his, geekiness.
His geekiness.
Michael Gonzalez says in the comics, Doc Ock often led the Sinister Six. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I feel like that whole chamber thing they have set up there is clearly set up for like a future Sinister Six kind of situation where you have,
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of got like a precursor to that in this film, but they're clearly going to build their own version.
You know,
of it.
it's funny. I didn't realize it till now, but when Electro was like, "Nah, man, that's just a tree." It's
Yeah.
like
Oh,
it
yeah,
wasn't.
when
It
he
wasn't
came
so
through.
stupid of him because there's Groot.
Ned's all tripping
Brett.
out, and he's all, "Is this like some tree monster thing?" He's like, "No,
But there
dude,
is
it's
Groot,
great."
so it's not that stupid. Apparently, I don't know.
No, the few laughs that were in the movie I felt landed pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Wild Man Beyond says, "Do you guys see this as a live action remake of the Spider-Verse? And which of the two did it better?" Oh no, I don't see it at all in that vein.
No, it's
No.
totally
And
different.
don't even
This
get
is
me
better,
started
though.
on Spider-Verse.
This is a much better movie. Watch this one.
Yeah,
You know,
I felt they were-
Although if Nick Cage had shown up in this, I wouldn't minded.
well, yeah, Nick Cage could be in anything.
I-
If
Yeah.
suddenly
Yeah.
Nick
If
Cage
they
is
had
fighting
Chris Pine-
Daredevil.
If they had the Chris Pine Peter Parker in this, I would have actually enjoyed that because that was like the best. That Chris Pine Peter Parker in the first like 3 minutes of Into the Spider-Verse was like the best Peter Parker we've seen on a movie screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at first I was kind of like, I'm like, are they even going to have Toby be in the costume? Because like they had him really subdued and like really kind of meandering like a little old man for a little bit at first.
Yeah, so he was like, "Are you just gonna like dress like a youth pastor?" You got
Yeah, and then they had that
Yeah,
line.
and then he shows his little thing. I was like, sweet. He's got his suit on.
God, I mean, outside of Ghostbusters Afterlife, this is the first movie I felt like the movie was just so aware of the audience watching it.
Yeah,
I mean,
me too.
It just felt like, okay, especially with all the little lines and all the little things that they tried to, even if they didn't make it exactly the way everybody would want it, but they did everything they could to try and make almost everybody they could happy, right? With every little gripe that anybody's had about previous films, the modern films, it's almost like they did almost everything they could to kind of open up the door. Like, okay, so you don't like the Tom Hardy Venom? That's fine. You're going to get this other Venom. Okay.
I did have one disappointment. I did
that?
want to see Tobey Maguire do his dance. I did.
I'm
Oh.
surprised they didn't have some kind of
I
crack at
didn't
that.
get the Tobey Maguire dance.
Considering, because that was going to be my next point, was how they actually even had that little banter back and forth with them that was almost kind of like internet geeks critiquing the Spider-Man films prior
They
to
could have
this.
had
Yeah.
young. They could have had young hot Aunt May. Been like, "Hey, you want to dance?" And he'd just be like, "No."
I would have liked to have seen Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man have a wedding ring on. That would have been awesome.
That would have been good.
Yeah,
Like,
I
just
mean,
no mention of it or anything. Just something that nothing highlight. Just something for fans to pick out as an Easter egg that he's wearing a wedding ring.
they should have, but they at least let us, because that was my first thing too, is are they going to kind of leave it ambiguous? Because at first they did, because they just kind of like, they didn't, because he's like, then he finally says, well, we made it work, or we're making it work, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's
Which is
complicated,
insinuating
but
they're together. Yeah, which is insinuating they are together. So anyway, Wild Man Beyond says, do you guys see this as a live? Oh yeah, we already got that one. Sorry, but thank you for that, Wild Man Beyond. And Deranged Lunatic sent us a super sticker. Thank you so much. I know that's somebody
Hey,
who's
deal.
always hanging out over on Jesse's channel there. But yeah, we're caught up with the super chats, but I see Fed and a few other people in the chat. Welcome, guys. Just catching up on the chat here. So sorry if I missed a lot of people coming in here. Gabriel Knight says, I hope No Way Home breaks $1 billion because we can't have that Party propaganda film being 2021's biggest worldwide movie. Honestly, after this weekend, and with I think the word of mouth this movie's going to get,
I hope
I
it does well.
think it's going to break that billion.
Yeah, they're gonna make just a
I
little bit of
really
money
hope
here.
this
They
movie
had it
does
on like
well.
7 screens where I went to see
Dude,
it.
I'm serious. Every
I mean-
fucking screen in this Apple theater was Spider-Man.
I mean, if
except
I would have
for,
waited
like,
a little while
one
longer,
that was playing Ghostbusters.
there was literally like a show starting every 15 minutes if I'd have
Yeah.
waited a little while.
You know, honestly, I don't even think the kid put me in the right theater because I bought tickets for 5:00. We were like 10 minutes late. He was like, "Go to that one,"
Oh,
He
because
didn't
that one
carry
started
you.
at 5:30.
I was gonna say they're probably
whatever.
staggered like the one at that I looked at where it was like every 15 minutes, but they didn't start till later tonight. So I was like, I ain't waiting that long. I went to the 5:00 3D show, so it was an early show at least. So yeah, and it was actually decent 3D. Unfortunately, I was sitting right up front, but luckily it was like reclining seats, so like that helped a
Yeah.
little bit. But the tops of their heads were a little fat, but outside of that, like the top
So,
of the screen. But yeah.
here's
That was
my-
just happy.
Here's my question: how did you guys feel about the Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse trailer? How they dropped it at the very end of the movie, at the end of credits.
Oh,
I tell you, the one thing that I did like about it
oh,
was it cleared up a gripe that a lot of people had about WandaVision, and it was a good gripe, is that she got away with it and she never owned up to what she did. In that trailer, and it is a trailer, it's not a cut scene, it is a trailer, she owns up to what she did. She says it. I hurt people.
She's
That
like,
was
"I
good.
messed up
Glad,
with
I'm
what
glad
she
you
hurt."
finally fucking acknowledged it, you know?
Right.
So I'll give them that.
she looked hot in that costume.
Yeah, she did.
Oh, and her
Yeah, she did.
But you mean the Halloween one she wore, or the newer one?
Oh, that one
Both.
too.
The
Both.
Halloween one was.
I was gonna say the
better
Halloween
on
one
the
was
revealing
awesome.
side of
The
ones.
the original, yes,
Yeah.
that one was beautiful.
I mean, the redesign, like the more modern looking, it's a great looking costume, but you know, doesn't have the certain goods that the Halloween one does.
I do like how they had the mirror of version of Doctor Strange.
Fuck yes,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
where I
And
was
I'm
gonna
like-
go with it
'cause I was
mirror,
like,
mirror,
thank-
mirror.
God, we're gonna do a mirror type deal with Doctor Strange.
I wasn't
said that to my
sold on
son
any of that
walking out the
Doctor
door.
Strange stuff though. Like I really was let down by that.
Really?
Why you don't think
Yeah.
having goatee Doctor Strange is going to be good?
Yeah,
He's
I don't.
gonna
I
be
was
like-
hoping for,
wait a minute. No goatee Doctor Strange.
I was hoping for something more connected with what we had just seen. On top of it, it felt like really dark and dour, like Thor: The Dark World, and all the battle scenes look like that kind of shit. Like I'm just like, I hope I'm wrong because it's Sam Raimi, and I had a lot of high hopes, and now I'm just like, ugh.
I don't think they used some of Sam Raimi's filming techniques in that trailer, because it just doesn't feel like it was shot by Sam Raimi.
That's my other thing too. Script. It has
Yeah.
like no Sam Raimi to it at all. Like it
Yeah,
feels
because Sam
very-
Raimi has a specific tone, a specific framing, a specific cutting pattern that he does, and I think what ended up happening in this case is that whatever sub studio decided to cut this trailer didn't bring that with them. They just said, "Oh, we'll just slap these together for the generals and leave the technique stuff for the theatrical."
You know what I would really like to see, and it's not going to happen in a million years.
A real Mary Jane in the MCU.
Yeah, right.
right?
Well, aside from that,
Alicia Hardy,
So
Black
many
Cat.
hot redheads. Pick one.
Jeffrey Combs is Dr. Mordred.
Ooh,
That'd be good.
that'd be a good. I don't know. Is Jeffrey? Yeah, he's probably still young enough to do that.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be so cool. Just zip him in there for one scene.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is
Yeah.
I'm sure that they have something for Bruce Campbell to do in Doctor Strange 2 already, since Raimi's directing that. I was almost half-assed wondering if he wasn't going to be Uncle Ben in that picture.
I would love to see Bruce
Like,
Campbell
what
be
kid?
the Mephisto. That would be great.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah.
Mecha J says, "How was the visual effects? Was it good across the board?" Actually,
Yeah.
I didn't really notice any.
Nothing,
noticed
took
no
me,
issues there.
nothing took me out of the
Thomas,
movie I was
okay,
watching.
is it just
I
me?
enjoyed it. I saw it in 3D, and I thought the visual effects in 3D, watching it on an
Yeah.
IMAX 3D, was fucking great.
I
dude.
thought they were great. My only thing was I noticed like there had to be some de-aging on Thomas Hayden Christensen or something like that. Or
Yeah.
Church,
Yeah.
I mean Thomas Hayden Church, because he just looked funky, and they made sure we didn't see him, but that very last bit.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
for some
Yeah.
reason they kept him completely, and it's his voice. He's there. It's just he's probably even on the set in a blue fucking suit for all we know. But like,
Oh, they wouldn't
whatever.
put him in a blue suit. They put him in that vest with those key marker points on it.
Regardless, you know what I'm saying though. Like he was clearly like part of
There.
it, but like they didn't want you to see his face.
Yeah.
No, they wanted to keep him more Sandman than.
Until the very last second. And
Well,
then
same
was
thing
that
with
even?
Earl Baines, yeah.
I was gonna say, was that the same actor who even played the lizard guy? Because I wasn't even 100% sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it?
Coffins.
Okay.
So yeah,
No, everybody came back, man. That
yeah, I
was
thought
pretty
so, but
cool.
they didn't want us to see him either, hardly at all.
They
Like,
barely showed him as
Tom,
like a
Tom.
shadow.
Would you come back?
well, of course, but I mean, like
They'd be like, "Here's
my
this
whole thing
fat
with them
fucking
is like I
check."
wouldn't put it above them to like recast a couple of those roles if it was cheaper.
Nah, people get pissed.
I
People
would
get
have
pissed.
swapped out Electro.
Because
I'm
Lizard
just
was
saying.
Lizard was almost throwaway. Like really, he was kind of
He wasn't until
barely
he
there.
started talking.
Yeah, he was like, and then even at the end, he kind of got. He was the one. It's like that was the okay. If there was a case of overload, that was it.
Yeah,
Like,
he
you
had
could kinda
super
tell
nothing
that-
to do.
Lizard had very little to do, and even Thomas Hayden Church's character was kind of a little off there at the end. Like, I'm still trying to figure out why he was attacking everybody. Like, it was
Well, I
just
mean, he started, then he stopped, then he helped Peter. And
Yeah,
then,
and I was
Yeah,
like,
he helped
like, he was
Peter
all
at
over the
first with
place.
Electro, and then when they met up again and like Goblin started his shit, he kind of flipped the script and was like, "All right, fuck all of you," and then he flipped again, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Don't-
Which none of that makes sense because his whole thing is just getting back to see
I
his
was like,
daughter.
I thought you wanted to go home so you could see your daughter, and I'm like, dude, you're trying to do right, and I'm like,
well, he should be going after that box more than anyone. That would
that's
be
exactly my thought too, because he wasn't even told that he died, so he had no reason to not go
Yeah.
back, right?
He
and
didn't
he would
die
be-
in Spider-Man 3. He
Exactly.
just flew
So like
away.
he's the one that would have the most motivation to want to go back.
Yep.
And that's
Right.
the only way I could see him having any like at odds with
Agency. Yeah.
Tom Holland, right? Like they just kind of like threw him out there in the wind at that part. You're right. Like he just kind of, and when he blows back in, it's like
he's
1 minute he's fighting with one
dust
side, 1
in
minute he's
the
fighting with the other.
wind.
It's like he's like not really quite figured out what side he's on.
He was just
Agreed.
dust in
Now,
the wind.
speaking of the box, how about when he gets the box back and he's like, "Fuck, Green Goblin bomb."
Yeah.
Dude.
I was like,
I
"Yeah."
went, oh
was
shit! Boom. You know?
The
It's like
Green Goblin
Peter,
was the man. in
like
this movie.
Peter
He was
barely
so
got
good.
it out. He was like, boom. I was like, there it is.
Well, and from what I was told, I expected more people to die, but yeah, maybe I was.
Yeah.
I was a little upset with the body count. I mean, rest in peace.
I think I was
rest in
over
peace,
expecting though.
Aunt
I
May.
got to remember this is the fucking Marvel universe where nobody dies.
Yeah. They
I'm
really
happy
should
that
kill Flash
nobody died,
Thompson.
and I'll tell you why.
That I was going to bring that up earlier, but I got interrupted. Like
Oh,
the
they could
Flash,
kill him.
the Flash stuff made me laugh. Now,
Oh,
did
yeah.
anybody else pick up the Flashpoint thing? Now,
Yeah,
was
I
that
know,
not
that's
a
funny.
total jab at what Warner's is doing?
Well,
Mhm.
not only that, like Flashpoint is probably. I mean, it's a cool alternate universe, but it's a terrible story. it's
Yeah.
just the whole impetus to how it comes too is like does not make sense.
I thought this
Um,
shit was hilarious. I was like,
Well,
really,
no,
we're
but you
doing
know this is a response to what they're doing over there. And what's funny is
Oh,
they
yeah.
beat him to the punch again. And I
Yep.
hate to say this.
I mean, yeah.
I don't
But they're
see
gonna
the
keep
Flash
doing it.
having
and that doesn't count.
what?
DC did it on television like 3 years ago. And it
Right,
doesn't
right.
count.
But no, but here's my point though: is like they beat him to the punch, but now like all they've got is Michael Keaton. Like they're
Yeah.
this is that makes that Flash movie like in comparison. I think like at this point, like
I
that
can't
trailer's
agree.
got to rock us.
I can't wait to see Michael Keaton back in the back, Cape and
Me
Cal.
too, but I have a feeling he's not going to be in it as much as we think.
No,
I just
think
want
he's
to.
only
I
gonna
just
be
want a
maybe 7
glimmer. I
minutes.
just want to see just a one.
He's
time,
going to be
just a
old man
glimpse.
Wayne until the very end, just to probably give you some.
I'm not that interested in that just because Michael Keaton went all commie in his old age.
I don't think we're going to see him in the costume, but like at the very, very, very end. Yeah.
And if anything, it's going to be like a digital costume too. So
I get it. Michael Keaton is almost enough, but at this point, when you've got
it's like
what you got
70.
in this movie, like this movie,
Dude, oh, man.
like I don't know how else to say it other than it's fan service done right. Like
I
I
mean-
don't know how else to say it.
Like, could you imagine if they did add Michael Keaton to this film as Volt?
I'm surprised they didn't.
Do you honestly think it would have been Overload or just
Yes.
enough?
No, him I
It
was
would've been too
expecting a
much.
damn cameo from. Just
I
a
think-
cameo.
Maybe even just a throwaway cameo, but at this point, like, yeah, like to me, even like Lizard was proving the point that they had a little too much to deal with on their hands. So that was probably another issue with the movie. But I still feel like outside of Sandman, like not having a clear motivation, the rest of the villains were great. Sans just Jamie Foxx's performance, but they did give him a better costume, and he does look cool in that part of it. As
I
long as
did
he
like
shuts his mouth.
Electro's
I,
upgrade.
I, I
did
don't
like
think
his
it's
upgrade.
Jamie Foxx's fault though. I think that a lot of the scenes he was in, the way he delivered his lines, they should have been shot at a different angle to show him better. And I think
I don't even think it was the
carried a
angle
little
though.
bit
No,
more.
I've seen the Amazing. I don't know if you've seen the. Have you seen
Yeah,
the Amazing?
Yeah.
He's
I got it.
completely carried over that character exactly the same way he acted in that movie.
Yeah,
He
well,
did.
but he was still a little more. He was
Minus the
not
comb
really.
over, minus the
more
comb over, minus the little geeky like.
held
fuck
Well,
back.
yeah, but that was
shit.
they just didn't give him the blue skin. That was the only difference. He's still playing the same exact part. Like I was hoping they would at least cool him up a little bit. Like he has the same bad kind of lines,
I'm
and
the shit.
Yeah,
He does, yeah.
he got all of the bad dialogue.
he did, and it stands out above the rest. Like
Especially
badly.
when he's looking at Andrew Garfield and he's like, "I thought you'd be black." It's like, what?
Just
I thought Spider-Man be black because he saves people. It's like,
Well, he's like talking, you're in
what?
Queens to save people. I'm like thinking, wouldn't it
Yeah,
be
he's like,
better
you
if
live
like
in
help
the
Queens,
Bronx
poor
or
you
people.
save
Brooklyn
people,
or
and I'm
something?
like,
Like,
Well,
what?
doesn't that was trying to remember because like that don't make sense because didn't he already know that Peter Parker was Spider-Man?
Apparently not.
well,
That's
at
part of
the
the whole
end
point.
he did, yeah. Goblin
Yeah.
told him, right, or something.
Yeah, I mean, fucking A, that scene, I'm sorry. And then he's like, maybe one day in the universe we'll get a black Spider-Man. I was like, here we go. Here we go. God
How did
damn
Electro
it.
get his hairline back?
Right? Nobody
Yeah.
knows. Nobody knows. Honestly, when Jamie Foxx
Surgery.
did say that, did say that specific line in the movie, that you could hear people go, "What the fuck? Why would you say something like that?" Like you can literally hear people echoing, "Why would you say something stupid like that? Why would you say something like that?" I'm like, hey, this
Everyone else said something.
I was
that
like,
had to do with
everybody
the
else
movie
agrees
except
with
for
me.
you.
It's like everybody else in the audience agrees with me because I'm thinking it and I'm hearing people go, "Why would he say something like that? That is ridiculous. Just because he's from Queens, what? And he saves kids."
Do you know how diverse Queens is?
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I have friends in Queens who are whatever.
You could throw a dart in the middle of Queens and hit 4 different people from 4 different backgrounds.
right.
It's very densely
With just
populated.
one dart, man. Like that's how tight Queens is. And
That's a
But-
big dart.
If they do bring in Miles Morales, who would you like to see play him in a live action?
I don't know any kid actors young enough.
I don't know either. That's where I'm lost. I'm like, if you bring in Miles Morales to live action, it's like, what kid does anybody know that would be willing to play him?
Oh,
I
know.
know who would have been good.
We'll just give it to Will Smith's son and be done with it. Then we'll all leave.
I know who would have been this devil's advocate for a minute. I know who would have been good, but he's too old now. Kelvin Harrison.
Tumbleweed.
He would have been good.
Who the hell is that?
He's in the Cyrano de Bergerac movie that's out right now, and
sounds like
he was in
something I'd
he was in
watch.
It Comes at Night. He
So
does a
do
lot of
I.
independent features, but he's an excellent actor. He just isn't all that well known. I think if they had done Miles Morales right and done it 10 years ago, he would have been fucking perfect.
My best choice is how about no?
Yeah.
No,
I don't-
I'm just saying, devil's advocate.
No,
I don't
I-
want a Miles
I don't
Morales
think
movie.
Brian
I'm
Michael
just
Bendis needs any
saying.
more characters.
No, but they are leaving that
No.
door open in case they don't win that fucking court case, and we all
That's
know
what I'm
that.
saying. That's what I'm saying. It might happen. So just Tom, be prepared. I'm sorry.
Oh, they're going for it. Yeah.
How about he gets played by Jaleel White?
How about it's a chick? How about it's Zendaya? Let's see the wokey wokes go fucking nuts, and then we can all call them sexist, so they can.
Let's
go
get some Spider Gwen up in this bit.
Miles is supposed to be a boy.
Stunning and brave.
Fuck you, he's Zendaya now.
Fuck you. He's a dick.
I'd rather watch her in a skin tight spider suit than some young black kid. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
She
Zendaya
does
doesn't
have
have
the
much
leg.
of a
Oh, I'm
feminine
gonna say,
You
figure.
know who would have loved that though?
She's got the
To see a
legs,
young
but
black
other than
guy
that,
in a Spider-Man suit would be.
All
Joe
I know is
Biden.
there was a lot of people obsessed with a little kid. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Gotta watch out for those Wayfair cabinets, boys.
People keep
Right.
bitching about Spider Boy. It's like, what the fuck do you think Miles is?
right?
He just
Yeah.
doesn't. He's just isn't called Spider Boy. He's Spider Man because they just wanted the title. That's why.
Going to a charter school, grade 9.
He's fucking Spider Boy. That's why I don't. Kid Arachnid is a better name.
Yeah, Kid Arachnid is a
Yeah.
better name. That's Paul Dini's take on him.
Then I wouldn't care so much. To me, otherwise, it's like he's just stealing shit from somebody else, no worse than Riri Williams or anybody else. And I even fixed Riri Williams' story. It's like it's not that hard.
How do you
Instead
name
of-
somebody Riri?
Well, that's the first thing, Jesse. Trust me. That's the thing I bring up every time. Is like, trust me. Anybody who knows anybody that gives you the nickname Riri, it's not a good nickname to
No,
have.
you're not supposed to adopt that.
No.
That's like
But instead of
Justin
having her
Trudeau's
steal the
DJ
tech,
name that we can't say on this show.
like I said, instead of having her steal the fucking tech, like I said, just have her be like a kid who needed a heart, and Tony built her a heart that was just like his reactor thing. And then after he died, he happened to leave a suit to her. That's all you had to do. Like, why have it to be where she fucking steals it from him? You know, it's
Because
kind of,
it's Batman Beyond if she steals it, just like what
exactly.
Terry McGinnis did. Again, it's yeah.
And I'm not a
And,
big
I,
fan
and I'm
of
not
that
the biggest
either.
fan of Batman Beyond because
Me either. Actually, I have that whole series and I've still never opened it.
Some of the episodes are great. It's just the premise is
Yeah.
it's not my.
I'm not a fan of redundant characters. I'm not a fan of going to the future and having a new, like, I'm not even that big of a fan of Spider-Man 99 shit, guys. Like big, like, woo, sorry. Like, just not.
I actually really did like the idea of the Peter Parker's daughter being Spider-Girl, but like the execution was really off. Like they made Peter Parker having lost a leg, so he's got a robotic one, and Mayday Parker is. They just really botched the hell out of that because I thought that could have been more like the Mask of Zorro type of story, but they really just screwed it up there.
Nah, but we should probably start wrapping it up because we've been talking for almost 2 hours here. So how about some final thoughts on the film? How about we'll start with you, Chef? Final thoughts on the movie.
I thought it was good. I thought it was all around good. I enjoyed it. I can't wait to see Morbius. See
Yeah.
what they do with that.
That last trailer made me more interested in Morbius than the first few did, that's for sure.
Yeah.
How about you, Steven?
I loved it. This is one of the best Marvel movies in a long time. Andrew Garfield, I thought, stole the movie. I'm looking forward to see where they take Holland's version next.
Script?
I think it's on par with the other two, so that's what it is. Before I make a final judgment on the costume, I probably want to see it in like a daylight shot as opposed to at night because that might have been the issue.
I'm sure in the next 2 weeks or so, we'll probably see a much better picture of it. They'll
Much
release
clearer
something official. Yeah.
Yeah, because like what I saw there, I'm like something just rubbed me the wrong way on it.
That's fair.
But yeah, I don't think it's the best Spider-Man movie of the three. I don't think it's the worst. I think it's just on par with the others. I know a lot of people are going to be loving the hype with it. Love it, lean into it, guys. If you feel great about this movie, if having watched it, ride that out because you don't get those that often. But yeah, I thought it was all right. Everybody did a great job acting except for Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
And the lesser issues with it than I was expecting, and that was a good thing.
That's good. Jesse?
I was pleasantly surprised. I thought this movie was going to get on my nerves, and it didn't. And my favorite part of this movie, besides that scene when Andrew Garfield saving her, was just the overall performance of William Dafoe. And I loved how he was able to, in one film, play a very weak, meek and mild version of himself that was almost just like a mentally ill guy who needed help at a shelter, and how he looked in those scenes. And then with the same clothing on and everything, he just switches over and he's just this completely other character that's completely strong and dominant and murderous. And he did a great friggin' job. And especially to be so badass at his age, just whooping that dude's ass like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this movie, though, overall. I mean, I thought that it was a very good interplay between all the characters, both as Peter Parker and as Spider-Man. The teamwork was good. The way they came about the teamwork, I also liked. I was afraid of paradoxes annoying my nerdness, and they did not. Because technically, I don't think they create any new paradoxes until they start doing new stories with the next movie. And that's about it.
Yeah, like if in Doctor Strange 2 they rebridge a multiverse, and all of a sudden now Flash Thompson is gone and Ned's gone and that Michelle Jones is gone. I'm not bothered by that. I'd like some more authentic versions of those characters.
Well, I think that they're kind of leaving the door to where those are probably like I think Zendaya's paycheck went way up. So
Yeah, probably did.
Filippo, yeah, this is another thing we kept forgetting to bring up. Alfred Molina was fucking great
he
in
was
this
great.
movie.
This
He crushed it.
movie.
Yeah.
He's my favorite after
Great.
Garfield in this. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is fucking Defoe is so fucking good.
Yeah.
But Molina
yeah.
is equally good. Just
Melina having that
different
scene
ways,
with
yeah.
Tobey Maguire at the end was like beautiful, man. That was like really, really good.
But yeah, just the fact that Defoe got to finally be full on just unbridled Green Goblin in this movie, it kind of overshadowed everything else in a weird way. But like just that scene specifically, like that, you know, where Aunt May gets killed, like he just comes in there and does as Stan Lee says, pumpkin bombs the hell out of the place.
Yeah.
Literally, like just boom, like fucking A, man. Like that's the Green Goblin being Green Goblin.
And I don't want to come off like I'm trying to downplay Willem Dafoe at all. I'm not. I've always been a fan of his. Every movie he's in is elevated because he's in it, and he is full on. You're right, Tom. He is full on Goblin in this movie, and
They didn't even overdo the cackling or nothing in this one. I was kind of surprised.
No, I didn't know.
Like they overdid it a little bit in that first Spider-Man movie. Like I don't even remember him laughing only, but like maybe twice in this movie, and it was never over the top. Nobody was playing it over the top at all, except for fucking, except for Jamie Foxx was the only one, really. I mean,
He was trying way too hard.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't think he was trying at all.
that's the thing is like half of me is going, okay, maybe he's being consistent, right? I can't knock him down for that part.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're given a second shot at fixing a character that a lot of people
Did not
really-
respond well.
Well, you know who was
Respond very well,
absolutely
yeah.
perfect and in character, as always, is J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
He
mean,
did get a little-
the
He's
Alex
such a
Jones
dick.
veneer on him, you know, it's an interesting take, not my favorite, but heck, they made it work.
Yeah, I wish they would have used him a little bit better. Like other than that, I mean, I was glad that he was there, but
I
he
got
just
to
kind
tell
of
you,
was there.
I got to be honest. There are actually a couple of actors I have issue with, but am I the only one that doesn't buy Tony Revolori as Flash?
No, I
Um,
don't
I-
buy him as
Oh no, not one bit. He's not athletic.
I just
Well,
see
yeah.
I just see Zero from Grand Budapest Hotel when I see him.
That's because he's the 25% different Flash for one.
Yeah, he's the kid that
He's
gets
a little more than
constantly bullied.
25% different. He's about 98% different.
No, I
His
know,
name
but
is
that's the
Flash.
whole thing is he couldn't be the regular Flash. Like all these characters that we got here,
Flash is Biff from Back to the
look,
Future.
guys, like this goes back to an old Midnight's Edge video. We told you guys this a long time ago. If in case you missed it or don't remember,
Yeah.
when this first happened, this is why the line has no longer been, you know, there's no longer a line there. There used to be a line that they could not use the original characters outside of Spider-Man in case they were able to spin off later on. They wanted to be able to go back to those characters because if they used them, they'd be locked down for a while. Well, here's the thing. All those characters, MJ,
Ned, in this version of Flash.
all of these guys are basically reskinned Miles Morales characters.
Oh God.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're just with different names. And
Swapped into the roles that they would play otherwise. Yep.
so, and the reason for that was the whole legal thing. They wanted to be able to reserve the original versions. That's why we got a young, sexy Aunt May.
Well, I didn't have an issue
issues.
there,
Yeah,
but
man,
that's-
no
fine.
Now, you
issue.
can put
No,
Marissa
you
don't
Tomei
have
in
an
like
issue, but-
anything, man.
That's the whole reason for that. That's another reason why Uncle Ben was kind of non-existent.
Now, Tom, would you agree with me that Marissa Tomei looks like she smells real nice?
I am not sure where
Yeah.
you equated that, but okay, sure.
That's my first impression. She just.
I'm
Looks like
sure she
smells
keeps
good.
herself very well kept, I guess.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It does. What?
What
All
the
I know is
fuck,
her
Jesse?
biological clock is
Bro,
still probably ticking.
You think
Hell
she
yeah.
smells? Oh man.
Because at her age, she still looks hot as shit. That's for sure. Yes.
Well, she's in her early 50s, I think.
Yes.
Yep.
But no, like, where was I? I forgot.
Well,
Yeah,
we're
wait.
25% different. So now
Yeah,
it goes
and now-
$2 down.
Now he's basically got a clean slate. You can introduce a new. I bet they'll go with Gwen. I bet you they'll introduce a Gwen in the next movie.
I think they
And
might go with Felicia Hardy because they haven't really
they
told her
could.
yet. Yeah.
You got it'll be somebody else. They won't go with a Mary Jane next.
No, I think they'll save that for something later.
Yeah, so we'll get a new kind of thing happening in the next 3 movies. And Valiant could be right; they could yank him out at some point here, but I just don't see that happening in the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, again, like the ending, the ending really does divorce him from the MCU because no one remembers Spider-Man's association with the Avengers or anything of that nature. They just know of Spider-Man. They don't know he's Peter Parker, and they don't really know who Peter Parker's not really known by anyone, not even Happy. And he's completely on his own. And I mean, that's a cool
You're right,
aspect to it, but
and it does support what Valiant's saying, except for one thing. Why would they introduce another Venom? Like that's
There's
there's just
almost
little
like he started the
there's
game
little
with a
pieces
DLC
of things. Well, there's just little pieces of things that are still left over that are just like, yeah, but
well, I'm
I
thinking this is
don't
my
know.
speculation with that little Venom and post-credit scene is that I'm thinking some scientist is going to get a hold of that symbiote. It's going to go into some sort of lab. They're going to do Secret Wars, and the lab is going to be ported over into their base of operations, and that's where Spider-Man's going to get his new suit, and that's where it's going to kind of start the whole Venom saga.
I
thing.
agree.
And I think that's probably going to be your second movie is where they do that. I think
Well,
they're going to do one more where he's in college, he's starting his first day at like community college or something, and
Yeah, and the secret storyline thing is supposed to be a Marvel Disney Plus series anyway. So that's why I still say
that's
like
Secret Invasion. Secret
Secret
Wars
Invasion,
is
yeah.
It's completely different.
yeah, but I think they're still going to meld them is my whole point. Like I think because I can't say half the shit I've been told because like some of it's like not completely set in stone yet. So whatever. Regardless, like I just don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. My understanding of the situation is at least for the next 5 to 10 years, he's pretty locked up. So,
Yeah, he's Spider-Man. Yeah.
yeah, and the whole thing's kind of set to where they can do their thing, but like he's going to pop up here and there. So they don't have a specific set amount of appearances is all I know. But anyhow, that goes off of what.
Well,
Tom
I don't
said.
think Rothman wants to put a specific set appearances because that's potential money he'll never see.
Yeah,
I think basically he looked at it as like, okay, this deal that we did with Spider-Man and Disney, it worked out better than we hoped. So let's lift a couple of extra restrictions and see how far we can take this before we start losing.
that's kind of what I heard too.
That's my understanding of this whole situation. It's like, yeah, just keep it open.
He was very happy with what they had accomplished thus far.
And I think he'll be very happy this Christmas because he's probably going to get a bonus from Sony because of this.
Yeah, they're going to have a very good year.
Yeah.
Between this, Venom and
Ghostbusters Afterlife
Ghostbusters.
on their-
Yeah. But anyhow, so yeah, my final thoughts. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I want to see it again soon so I can kind of get a better feel for it. I didn't get to see it under the best of conditions, but I did enjoy it overall, so that's a good sign. Yeah. I think most people will enjoy this movie. I feel like it, even with the little nitpicks we all have, they're various ones and they're all seemingly different. So that's where I stand by my initial saying that whoever's responsible for making sure this movie did everything it did, it still managed to do it and be a coherent story.
Mhm.
It's amazing. I mean, it really truly is a feat. I've seen some people say it's the best Marvel movie since Infinity War or Civil War, and I got to agree with that for sure. It's one of the best Spider-Man movies. I know Script is one of the few outliers on that one, but hey, I mean,
That's all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you though that it's very much like I loved Homecoming, the first one.
I liked Homecoming a lot.
And
too.
I stuck up for that one quite a bit because I feel like a lot of people gave that one, oh, it's Spider-Boy, it's Spider-Boy. I was like, well, the whole point of the movie is him being able to do it without the tech. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of the whole
That's the
point of that
arc.
one. But that's where I
learning the
dislike the
suit,
second
yeah.
one. I feel like everybody has a gripe with that one because yeah, it is the shadow of Tony looming over the fucking movie. And this one, there's barely any mention of Tony. There, you know, it's not so much. It's very like that's what I loved about the fact that there was so many different characters, is it still felt like Spider-Man was the focal point. Because usually, especially when you get to a third film, like Script and I talked about this with Batman Returns this last weekend, how Bruce Wayne and Batman are kind of just there. They don't really have a character in the film outside of what little Bruce gets to do with Catwoman.
Yeah,
And it's not
pretty
a
much.
knock on the movie, but it's just like, as opposed to that, where this is still clearly a Peter Parker story, right?
Yeah.
Like this wasn't the Penguin story. This wasn't, you know, that kind of a thing like with Batman Returns. But no, again, I don't know if I can really give it a digit yet. Like I definitely would put it in that high 9 range, probably out of 10. But I definitely want to see it again because I feel like there was just so much I wasn't able to take in between my visual experience and just the fact that it was so much going on. Like you guys brought up earlier a couple times now that it does not wear its time at all. Because you can even sitting through the credits, because altogether it's like 2 hours and like 20 some minutes.
Something like that, yeah.
It did not feel that long because I didn't feel the urge to have to go to the bathroom once through the movie or anything like that, which is a commonality about an hour into a movie with me. So like I'm also on meds that kind of make me have to go quite often. Not that you guys wanted to know that, but the fact that I didn't have to go, that says a lot. I mean, it kept me interested, and it helped that I didn't drink anything. I made sure of that this time. I'm like, nope, I'm not drinking nothing. I know this is a long movie, so, and I'm not going to want to miss anything by the time I'd have to pee. So no, anyway, that long thing over with. I enjoyed it. I'm glad you guys did too. Hopefully you guys will out there in the chat. Let us know what you think of it after you see it. I'm sure we're going to be talking about it a lot more over the next week or so. So stay tuned, kids. I'm sure Andre and others will have their say in it soon here. I think he's trying to figure out a way to see it himself. So we'll see on that note. And other than that, I think
poor Mikey. He only got 45 minutes in before his screening. Like I think
They lost power, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
is that
lost
what happened? I was
Oh,
curious.
They
I
lost
never heard from
power,
him.
and then they had to clear it out, so he didn't get to see it. I don't think.
He never got back to me, so I didn't even hear from him.
Yeah, I don't think he got to see it, which is a fucking shame because he was 45 minutes into it, so you could tell
I
where
know,
you're
and he
at.
bought
40,
his tickets way in advance
like
and shit.
he was like right almost in the good part. I was like, oh my god, you're 45 minutes into the film, and the power goes out, and then oh my god, he posted a video on his YouTube channel, so everybody go check that out.
Oh,
Show
I
Mikey
meant
some
that.
love.
Shit, I texted him earlier, but I never heard back. On my way back, I did, but oh, well, that sucks.
Yeah, I DM'd him and I didn't hear.
But yeah, if they're still going, I'm gonna head over to Comics Division, which it looks like they are. So here's the link for that. You can follow me over there. Tell them Midnight's Edge sent you. I want to thank all these guys here for joining me. Check out Chef's channel, check out George's channel, check out Valiant's channel, check out Steven's channel, check out Script's channel, check out Jesse's channel, of course. And thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate you checking in with us tonight and listening to us talk about this movie. So yeah, thanks so much, kids. Take care of yourselves and each other, and have a good night.